As he slowly opened his eyes, a flood of memories from his past washed over him, a stark contrast to his current disoriented state. He found himself sprawled on the rooftop, his head throbbing with pain, and an unsettling, putrid stench filling the air. He wondered aloud where he was and how he had ended up on the roof. Glancing down, he noticed a crowd of people below, and a chilling realization dawned on him. What the heck are these? Zombies? He exclaimed, horrified, as the people downstairs indeed appeared to have transformed into the undead. He shouted, questioning what was happening, recalling that he had been in the normal world just moments ago. Frantically, he searched for his phone, desperate to go online and understand the sudden apocalypse. His hand met only a peanut packet in his pocket. He remembered buying the bag of peanuts at the supermarket earlier and realized that was all he had left. A morbid thought crossed his mind. He was as good as dead after finishing this bag, and then he could finally rest in peace. A fleeting wish for a girlfriend before his demise drifted through his thoughts. Just then, the door behind him creaked open, and a girl in shorts and a t-shirt entered. He peeped, his heart pounding, and instantly thought, crap, the zombie's already up here. I'm dead, so dead. However, his fear turned to bewildered fascination as the girl stabbed a dagger into a water tank, and water gushed out, drenching her. She then proceeded to wash herself. He found the situation ridiculous, a zombie being so sexy. He sighed, mesmerized by her beauty, realizing she was a living human. He accidentally made a sound, and the girl's head snapped towards him. She ran towards him, and he meekly said, "Hello." His greeting was met with a swift slap. The girl pointed a gun at his forehead and demanded he spill it. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him and not to kill him. She asked who he was. He mumbled his name, his eyes inadvertently drawn to her thighs, thinking to himself that this angle was so good. Suddenly, from behind the zipper of his pants, a voice, that of his sentient chicken, declared that enemies were attacking outside. The chickens seemed dismayed, stating there was no way they were retreating, given the powerful opponents they were facing, and immediately initiated combat preparation. The girl, her face contorted in anger, suddenly lunged forward, striking Shuyong with something. She declared her intent to kill him. He pleaded with her to put it back. Just then, a zombie materialized behind them, poised to attack the girl. She swiftly dodged its lunge, but the zombie, unfazed, relentlessly attacked Shuyong, repeatedly striking him in the groin. He cried out, asking what was wrong with it and why it kept hitting his junk. A dagger suddenly appeared, piercing the goblin-like zombie's eye. The creature roared in pain. It was the girl, who then became the target of the goblin's enraged attacks. She thought that the military zombie's skull was too thick for bullets to penetrate, but now that she had injured its eyes, it could only swing blindly. She observed that the space on the rooftop was tight, with few places to hide, and if they continued fighting, they might attract more zombies. She noted the zombie's enormous upper body and injured leg, which explained its snail-like pace. She then pulled another saw from her wrist just as the zombie prepared to attack her. Shuyong shouted, "Watch out!" She dodged the attack, slicing off one of the zombie's arms. As the zombie attempted to turn, she swiftly beheaded it. She remarked that this batch of zombie cores looked pretty good. Shuyong was terrified. The girl, looking at her dirty clothes, grumbled that she had just cleaned herself and was dirty again. She then turned to Shuyong, questioning his softness and asking which faction he was from. She repeated her question, but Shuyong, still in a state of disbelief, thought this was all insane, a mere product of the horror movies he had been watching. He tried to convince himself that if he just got a good night's sleep, he would wake up. He then reached for his peanuts, noting that the peanut flavor in this dream was quite strong. Suddenly, the girl snatched the packet of peanuts from him, demanding to know who he was and how he possessed such a precious elixir of life. Shuyong meekly asked if she liked peanuts. She firmly reiterated her questions, asking which faction he was from and why he had such precious food. She then pressed the waist saw against his neck, leaving a scar. He realized it was real. He pleaded with her, begging her to spare him. He introduced himself as Shuyong, just an ordinary handsome guy, explaining that peanuts were his go-to snack that he always carried with him, and he had gotten them at the Damatsi supermarket. Just then an attack broke out, and the girl was shot in the leg. Shuyong asked if she was okay, stating she had been shot. She thought she didn't know why the mutated zombies were after her, but it felt like someone was behind it all. On another building, a sniper scoffed, stating that this chick had skills, and advising his companion to just leave the zombies to her and let her take care of them. The other boy with the sniper praised his boss, calling him a genius for scoring the zombie core without breaking a sweat. However, he expressed concern that she had only been hit in the leg, wondering what if she came after them with her skills. The sniper reassured him not to worry, as the first shot he fired had a corpse toxin bullet, and it wouldn't take long to drain her life away. Shi-young saw the girl's leg, now swelling ridiculously. The girl confirmed it was poisoned with corpse toxin, stating that despite her military record and experience with the zombie virus, this new type of virus from corpse toxin was much more severe. She believed there was no way she was getting out of this alive. She identified their attackers as being from the 17th faction, who were after the zombie core from the one she had just taken down. She warned Shi-young that if they got caught, they would be dead meat. Shi-young asked what they should do now. She replied that she could hold them off while he escaped. Shi-young asked about her. She explained that she had been infected with corpse toxin, and only penicillin could cure it. She couldn't run anymore, and it wouldn't be long before she turned into a zombie, and then Shi-young would be next. She offered to help him escape, but in return he would owe her one. He had to tell her sister to flee for her life without her, as she would be at the mercy of those scoundrels from the 17th faction. Shi-young questioned if penicillin was truly all it took to detoxify. She affirmed it, then asked what he meant by just penicillin, explaining how difficult it was to obtain penicillin as it was extremely rare. Shi-young muttered, "The rarest." Just then, she said she would fire a shot later to distract them. She instructed him to go to the rooftop where there was a door, and when there was a lot of smoke, she would throw smoke bombs. She then gave him a note, explaining it was where her sister was, reminding him he must tell her. Now's the time, hurry up and go, she urged. Shi-young ran. Shi-young found himself torn, reflecting on how the girl had just saved him. He wondered how he could simply abandon her. He thought about penicillin and his own world, considering that penicillin there can be acquired easily. He desperately wanted to return. Just then, a system materialized before him, announcing, "The primordial emperor system is online, initiating dimensional shift to the Gulf." Shi-young questioned what a dimensional shift was, asking if it was a way to return to his world. The girl, still by his side, urged him, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go." Shi-young then inquired if he could return again after leaving. The system replied with a simple yes. Shi-young declared he wanted to go back immediately. He then woke up in a hospital bed. Moments later, inside the hospital, a doctor was asking an old man about his legs. The old man replied they were much better. Just then, Shi-young came running, frantically shouting, "Penicillin! Where's the penicillin?" Meanwhile, the girl, heavily infected, was slumped on the floor, on the verge of death. She thought of Shi-young, silently urging, "That pretty boy, you must tell my sister." On the other end, the men with the sniper observed that the gunfire had stopped and she couldn't pull on anymore. Their boss instructed them, "Let's go, brothers. It's time to collect our spoils." Just then, a nurse admonished Shi-young for running in the hallway. He spotted the penicillin, snatched it, and shouted, "Dimensional shift." He instantly found himself back in the dilapidated world. Shi-young then addressed the girl, stating, "Not dead, huh? Good, not dead." She stared at him, asking if he was crazy and why he had come back. He presented her with the penicillin, saying he had bought it. She asked in disbelief how he had penicillin. Shi-young simply replied that he had just gone to get penicillin and told her not to ask too much. He assured her it was genuine penicillin and that she wasn't going to die, they were going to get out of there alive together. He urged her to eat it and handed her the capsule. She swallowed it. Shi-young asked how she was feeling, if it was any better. She replied that the swelling had gone down and the toxins had faded away, remarking, "Unbelievable. It's already suppressing the toxins. What kind of penicillin is that?" Suddenly, she heard a door knock and warned, "Someone's coming. Hide quickly." She pushed Shi-young through a hole in the roof, onto a bed below. He landed with a groan, complaining, "My poor back. A bed? That's insane, man. You know a man's back is the most crucial part, right?" Just then, the door opened, and the sniper and his companions entered. The sniper instructed his men to find the girl, suggesting they might have some fun with her while she was still alive. The girl, however, defiantly stated, "Looking for me, huh? I was gonna look for you guys too. Didn't expect you to come to me." The gang members stared in disbelief, questioning how she was still alive, and then turned and ran for their lives. Shi-young, on the floor below, thought that he didn't need to worry about her anymore. Just then he noticed a diary. He scoffed, wondering, what's this crap, a diary for adults? Seriously, who keeps a diary? He picked it up and opened it, commenting on its bizarre content, concluding that the person who wrote it was clearly not normal. The diary entry for July 21st, 208, a sunny day, described a perfect day with a curly lady across the house doing her laundry as usual, providing his daily fix of the duty, her figure simply nice. On July 22nd, a new manager took a seat nearby. He guessed she was super into fitness, and her boot was simply irresistible, making him consider moving on from the curly lady. Lately, there had been rumors about an R virus outbreak in the neighboring province, and he hoped it wouldn't spread to their area. He claimed that looking at Manager Bay's boot, he wasn't scared anymore. But just after that entry, the manager was infected by the virus too, and she reached the boy. The company was quarantined, and he was confined to his allotted room, not allowed to leave. By July 24th, the R virus had affected most of the city's population. They were down to their last pack of food from the community. He had tried calling for help, but nobody was responding. He feared if he didn't escape, he might starve to death. On July 25th, he reached his limit and decided to break the lock and go out. He needed to find some food himself. In the supermarket, the pharmacy, and everywhere else, people were madly smashing each other for supplies, with no one thinking about anyone else. On August 3rd, a rainy day, the TV signal cut off. 2 days prior, in its final broadcast, the anchor had warned them that rescue might not arrive, urging them to save themselves and uttering some absurdity about humanity's indestructibility, which he found laughable. By August 17th, all the food was gone. Now, if he left the room, he'd probably get bitten to death by a swarm of infected. He wondered how painful that would be. These days, he had been surviving on tap water alone and wondered how long he could last, lamenting that he really missed Manager Bay's big butt. Just then, he heard a shout. A lady screamed not to come any closer and asked what he wanted to do. He realized it was the lady from across the house, and he thought that yelling like that would draw the infected over. When he saw what was going on, the lady was being stabbed by her own husband. He questioned what the person was doing, and then saw that the husband was eating his own wife. He vomited. August 19th. 4 days without food, and he was starving to death. Almost as he was losing hope, someone knocked on his door and asked for penicillin. The man exchanged a lot of food for his penicillin. He found it surprising that penicillin worked while other antibiotics were useless. He owed his life to the day he grabbed that medicine. On August 21st, he witnessed someone eating a dead zombie from the balcony. He found it hard to fathom how anyone could stomach it and wondered if that thing could really be eaten. It was a zombie core. On August 30th, he got robbed, and all the penicillin he had stashed away in the cabinet was gone. He cursed the damn monsters, acknowledging it was his only hope for survival. On September 1st, he left his prison-like house. Even if the outside world was full of infected, he didn't want to starve like a fool in his own room anymore. While he still had strength, maybe he would get lucky and find some food, or else he might just do what that guy did the other day. He held a knife and declared, "Bring it on. Today, it's either you eat me or I eat you." Shur-young thought, so he never came back. Did he actually die? He put the diary aside for now, concluding that it had given him a rough idea of what was happening in this world. People infected with the virus turned into flesh-eating zombies. Judging from the current food shortages and city paralysis, he estimated that most people had already been infected. There was another important point: penicillin. He had a few, no, many, in his pocket. He realized that in this world, penicillin was more precious than gold, but while many people desperately sought it, he could easily buy it in his world, which meant he had struck gold. Just then, the sniper boy entered the room, exclaiming that Shur-young actually had a box of penicillin and no wonder that girl was still alive. He then took the full bottle of penicillin and declared that if he brought this bottle to his organization, they would surely promote him 3 ranks. He then suggested Shur-young might as well drop dead too. Shur-young quickly said, "Wait, I have more." The girl entered the room and told them not to shoot. The sniper warned her to stay back, otherwise, he would kill Shur-young. She retaliated, threatening to blow his head off in a second if he dared to shoot. She then urged them to let him go, promising to spare her alive. He cautiously listened to the sounds outside and noted that the recent fight had already attracted a large group of zombies. He advised his companions to let Shur-young go, as they still had a chance to escape, stating they would be dead if they waited any longer. She then further stated that this should be far enough and told him to let Shur-young go. He, angry, declared, "Yun, you have killed so many of my bros. We are going to pay the price for this." He then punched Shuyong, who landed straight onto her. The boy with a web shooter type of thing added, "Yun, learn. Next time we meet, I'll make sure to chop you up into zombie food as an offering to my brothers." On the other hand, Shuyong was quietly sleeping on her breast. She sighed, asking him seriously how long he planned on keeping this up. A vast swarm of zombies crowded the area downstairs. The girl declared they should be out of the zombie-infested zone by now and suggested they rest a bit before heading out again. Seizing the opportunity, she told Shuyong she had some questions for him, asking who exactly he was and why he possessed items like peanuts and penicillin that ordinary people wouldn't have. Shuyong thought that while Yun, the girl, might appear formidable in this apocalypse, it was always wise to keep something reserved. He decided that if he told her the truth, anything could happen, so it would be better to find an excuse and bluff his way through for now. He subtly slid a bottle of penicillin towards her and said, "Here." She saw it and, recognizing it as penicillin, exclaimed, "This box is a gift for you. Consider it a payment for saving me just now. If you agree to stay by my side and protect me, there will be plenty of benefits for you. What do you say? Shall we make a deal?" Shuyong asked if she was serious. She nodded, and he told her not to be shy and to just take it, adding that it wasn't just penicillin, he could get her even more desirable things. She questioned what even more desirable things meant. Shuyong then listed an array of delicacies: steamed lamb, steamed beef, power-steamed deer tails, roasted duck, roasted spice chicken, roasted marinated sea duck, soy sauce chicken, beef jerky, ample tripe, dried meat sausages, assorted vegetable platter, everything. She cut him off, saying, "Stop. I won't just agree to protect you for these things. I don't want to protect someone who might be from an enemy faction." Shuyong reassured her not to worry about that, stating he didn't belong to any faction. He suggested she could think of him as a pretty boy living in luxury from some utopian land. She thought that his tender skin indeed made him look like a pampered young master. She acknowledged she owed her survival to the penicillin he gave her and, despite her reluctance, admitted he was slowly becoming her lifesaver. She then agreed to the deal, stating, "So you are Shuyong, right? From now on I'll stick with you and keep you safe. But if I find out you lied to me, I'll kill you." Shuyong cheerfully replied that she could call him Brother Shuyong too, declaring that her luck had arrived. He then asked if he could ask her some questions, to which she agreed. Shuyong wanted to know about the apocalypse. She explained that the R virus, carried by zombie cores, sparked the apocalypse, infecting 80% of humans and causing a catastrophic drop in the global population from 9 billion to 1.5 billion, leaving only zombies in their wake. She described zombie cores as having both plant and mineral characteristics, and they could be ingested directly by living beings, used to make evolutionary potions, or stored as energy. Direct consumption led to short-term energy and nutritional supplements. Evolutionary potions came in 3 grades: 1, 2, and 3. When used as an energy source, zombie cores could be utilized individually or arranged in multiples of 1, 3, or 9 to form an energy array that fully unleash their potential. In the apocalypse, zombie cores were still used as common currency to trade different things. She continued, explaining that the newly mutated R virus could quickly adapt and resist modern antibiotics. This meant that high-tech genetic antibiotics were no longer working well, but all penicillin-based antibiotics were still effective. Because of mutations in penicillin and other microbes used to make penicillin, the conditions for producing it had become rarer, hence penicillin was now an extremely valuable drug in today's world. After the world ended, people found a network of groups that were similar to ancient tribes. These groups were connected to larger regional organizations and then linked to even bigger ones. They were currently in Qingzhou, which had 3 small organizations: 17th Earth Construction and Flambeers. The group they encountered earlier belonged to the 17th faction. She described them as violent criminals, committing murder, arson, and looting without any limits. They craved resources and women, enjoyed killing, and even used human flesh as food. They were part of a larger organization based in Yuzu. Shuyong acknowledged that he understood now. She concluded that this area was swarming with zombies, and having Shuyong as a drag meant they couldn't make it back to base today. She suggested they find a place to rest for the night. Shuyong agreed. She then told him to go to sleep as she would keep watch. Shuyong thought that just by looking at her face, it was hard to imagine she was such a formidable survivor. Shuyong then mentally instructed the Empress system to travel back to the 21st century, and the dimensional shift began. But when he woke up, he felt an immense heaviness. A girl in front of him asked if he was awake. He managed to utter a plea for her to get off, to which she playfully responded that he should be gentle. He then recognized her as his landlord, and asked what she was doing there. She explained that he had been knocked out by a crazy guy who had jumped off the building, but the doctors assured her he would be fine. She felt lucky that she had set herself as his emergency contact. Otherwise, no one would have paid his hospital bill. Shuyong asked where she had set that up. She then shifted the conversation, asking if he was hungry and offering to feed him. He responded, "Feed me?" She clarified that she meant she would make him some noodles, teasing him that he was a handful, and that since he didn't have any essentials, she would go downstairs and buy some for him. She asked if he needed anything, and he confirmed. She then told him to write her a list. With landlord gone, Shuyong decided to take a closer look at the primordial emperor system. He observed that merely thinking the words primordial emperor system made the interface appear before him, and it was pretty straightforward. He saw options for dimensional shift, power-up, and storage. He wondered how to activate the power-up function and saw that it needed a charge. Just then his landlord, Luoshi, returned, complaining that she was dead tired. Shuyong offered to take the items from her, but she told him not to move, reminding him he was a patient. Shuyong recognized Luoshi as a rich heiress. He thought that even if he were blind, he could tell she had a thing for him, but he was penniless and couldn't bring her happiness, so he had never responded to her feelings. He then considered that if he had the emperor system, being able to travel between two worlds, he could definitely make a huge profit with money, and perhaps then she and he. Just then, the door of the hospital room opened. Luoshi's uncle, Uncle Zhao, entered. Luoshi asked what he was doing there, reminding him she had told him where she was. Uncle Zhao replied that her father had sent him to take her to Yohuan for dinner. Luoshi refused, stating she was busy. Uncle Zhao insisted she must go, calling it an absolute order from her father. Luoshi again refused, saying, "Oh no, Uncle Zhao, don't push me." Uncle Zhao then told Shuyong to wait for him downstairs first. Shuyong asked what he was up to. Uncle Zhao dismissed the question, telling him to just head down first. Luoshi's uncle then spoke to Shuyong, asking if they hadn't already made everything clear before. He questioned why Shuyong was still clinging on to Luoshi, or if the money he had given him before wasn't enough. He advised Shuyong to be honest if he needed more, and not to return it and pretend to be above it. He then emphasized the difference between Shuyong and Luoshi, stating that her father would never allow them to be together. Shuyong interjected, "But if I become very rich?" The man cut him off, stating he knew that every dog has its day, but from what he had seen of Shuyong so far in his lifetime, he would probably never amount to anything. Just then, in the apocalypse world, the girl, Yun, said, "Hey, wake up." Shuyong woke up. She declared it was daybreak and time for them to set off, estimating it would take them about an hour to reach the base. They were running through an alley, and Shuyong was tired. She then announced they had arrived and threw a stone at the wall, which opened a hidden door. She stated, "This is our way." Shuyong commented that it was really well hidden, and that no one would know there was a space there from the outside. She urged him to hurry, and they reached her sister. Yun exclaimed, "Rue, look, I have brought back the penicillin." Her sister, too, was infected with a virus. Yun instructed her sister to take the medicine, assuring her she would get better soon. Shuyong asked if the girl was her sister and what had happened to her. Yun explained that a zombie had scratched her sister. She herself had gone out yesterday to hunt mutant zombies, hoping to use their zombie cores to create penicillin, but she ended up getting ambushed by people from Faction 17 instead. Her sister, concerned, asked if Yun was hurt from the ambush. Yun reassured her she was fine and mentioned she had a friend with her, the one who had provided the penicillin, without whom she wouldn't have made it back yesterday. Her sister expressed deep gratitude to Shuyong, stating he had saved their lives. Shuyong dismissed their thanks, thinking that for two girls to survive in such an environment was already a miracle. Yun then prepared some food for Shuyong and offered it to him. He expressed his relief, saying he had been running around all day and was starving. However, after taking the first bite, he immediately vomited. Yun asked if it was that bad, remarking that it wasn't so bad when she ate it. Shuyong questioned if they usually ate this. She asked why he was praying and if it was truly that bad. He denied it, saying he just felt sorry for them. He then told them to stop eating that trash and to wait a moment. Yun questioned why he wouldn't eat it, explaining she had gone through so much trouble to collect it from the sewers. Shuyong then took something out of his pocket and suggested they go with this one, opening the package. He placed a small food item into Yun's mouth. She flinched for a second but was then utterly amazed by the taste. She exclaimed, "This rich, milky aroma, this refreshing sweetness." Shuyong asked if she was okay, wondering why she wasn't moving, and confirmed he had fed her a white rabbit creamy candy, right? She responded with an enthusiastic, "Yummy." She then asked if he had more, opening her mouth and reaching for his hand. As he got near her, she grabbed his entire fingers along with the candy. Shuyong exclaimed that his hand was still in there, but she didn't stop, taking every bite off his fingers. She declared, "That's delicious. Can I have another one?" Shuyong gave her several more, and she took those candies to her sister, urging her to try this. Her sister also found it incredibly tasty, asking what it was. Yun explained it was a white rabbit cream candy that Shuyong had just given her and that it was very tasty. Her sister expressed profound gratitude for being alive. Yun told her to eat slowly as there was still a lot left. Shuyong, visibly moved and saddened by their hardship, then took out various food items from the 21st century for them, saying, "Here, take it all. All the food is for you guys." Yun recognized one item as a snack she had seen in a book. She asked if all of this was for them. Shuyong confirmed it was all for them to eat and reassured them he still had plenty more. Yun then gave him a bag filled with something, saying, "Here." Shuyong asked what it was. She explained it was all the zombie cores she had collected, and they were all his. Shuyong mused that as soon as a zombie core got close, the mark on his left hand began to burn, wondering if there was a connection between them. He then accepted the zombie cores Yun had offered. He questioned her generosity, asking if she was sure she wanted to give them all to him, considering how precious they seemed based on what she had said. Yun replied that the penicillin he gave her had saved both her and her sister's lives, and his food and supplies were supposed to be worth far more zombie cores, but for now, she had only gathered these. She promised to pay him back the rest later. Shuyong then exclaimed, "Oh no, do you guys have a restroom? I need to go there." Yun directed him to the restroom, which was just around that corner. Shuyong confirmed, "Okay, I'll be right back." He entered the washroom and observed it was a squat toilet. He remarked on its ancient appearance and the faking deep hole, but decided to deal with it first. As he sat there, he thought, well, there's no one around. I might as well study what a zombie core really is. He took out one of the cores, and as he held it, he said, "As suspected, there's a connection. My arm is heating up again." The zombie core was absorbed, and the system pop-up appeared. Power-up successful. Dimensional shift increased by 2. Total dimensional shift, 3. Shuyong realized, so, power-up is used for dimensional shifting, huh? He decided to add a few more, and after several more power-ups, 23 of the zombie cores rolled down the toilet. He now had a total of 9 dimensional shifts. Shuyong thought 9 should be enough and decided to keep the remaining zombie cores for now. Just then, he looked at the bag and shouted, "Where's my zombie core? I clearly had a whole bag just now. How come there are only 2 left?" He then looked at the toilet and, a dawning realization on his face, muttered, "Could it be?" Shuyong emerged from the washroom looking like a wandering soul. Yun asked what was wrong with him and why he had that face. Shuyong mumbled that it was nothing, just a bit constipated. Some time later, Yun announced it was time to eat. Shuyong questioned why she was eating this again, reminding her he had given them plenty of food already. She explained that she couldn't eat all of such precious stuff at once, and besides, she had collected this from the sewers with great effort, and it would be a waste not to eat it. Shuyong reassured her not to worry, as there was more food. She seemed confused, recalling that he had given all the food to them. Shuyong thought that she didn't know he had a storage space in the system, and it would be too strange if he took out more food now. He realized the food he currently had wasn't enough for the 3 of them for a few days and that he needed to go back and get more. Yun then revealed that she was a merchant and that every few days, someone came to deliver goods to her, and there was food there. Shuyong was surprised, asking why she hadn't told him before. She admitted that she hadn't fully trusted him yet. Shuyong then stated he had to go out tomorrow to get some goods and would bring back more food. He further reiterated that he was off to pick up the goods. Yun told him to wait and handed him a small handgun. Shuyong commented on how small the gun was. She explained that it wasn't about the size of the gun, but its power, calling it a deadly assassin's weapon. She insisted he better take it with him, just in case. She then asked if he was going alone and if he needed her to come with him. He declined, assuring her he would be fine and to wait for him to get back. He then closed the door. Just then her sister, Rua, woke up and called out to Yun. Yun asked Rua if she could walk now. Rua confirmed, stating that the medicine Shuyong had given her truly worked well. Yun expressed her delight and then instructed Rua to secretly follow Shuyong and see where he went. Rua asked why. Yun explained that Shuyong's appearance and actions were out of place there. It seemed he wasn't familiar with the rules around the earth, and the merchant and entity he claimed were probably just made-up excuses. Although he had been very generous to them, she concluded it was too early to trust him. Shuyong felt he had put enough distance between them, confident that Rua shouldn't be following him anymore. He activated the dimensional shift and returned to the hospital. Upon waking, he immediately thought he should get out of there. He couldn't afford to keep racking up hospital bills, especially since he was penniless. He exited the hospital and saw a car. He reflected on his situation, admitting he hadn't found a job for months and his savings were almost gone. He had once believed he would get rich, but it seemed he was still a broke loser. Nevertheless, he resolved to start by collecting some supplies that were hard to come by in the apocalypse. He acknowledged that food and medicine were more precious than gold in that world, but he had no channels to sell them. He knew that if he approached Faction 17, those vicious brutes would undoubtedly rob him of his goods and then kill him. Just then, Shuyong proceeded to buy a large amount of food, asking the cashier for the bill. He thought that Yun was incredibly skilled, but she was outgunned, meaning she could only protect him from the zombies at best. The cashier scanned all the food items and informed him that his total was 1054 yuan. Shuyong paid for all the goods. He thought these items should fit in the system's storage space. He decided to pack some extra clothes as well, calculating that since each dimensional shift used half a zombie core power, he should minimize the shifts. He found it infuriating that he had to be so frugal, silently cursing the damp toilet. Shuyong was very tired. The scene shifted back to the girl, Rua, in the zombie apocalypse. She was looking around and remarked how strange it was that Shuyong had disappeared in a blink of an eye. She questioned if her tracking skill was really that bad. She then decided that this location offered a great view and she would just stay there, convinced he wouldn't show up. Just then, Shuyong returned with a lot of packages. He muttered to himself that they should just carry everything back so no one would be suspicious. He then exclaimed that he hadn't seen any zombies there last time and that the place was sealed off. He decided they needed to find another way to go around. He wondered what the heck was going on and why there were so many more zombies here. He shouted for Yun to come save me quick. He realized he couldn't get through the horde and might even have to shift. But just then, a zombie appeared from behind him, lunging towards Shuyong. The packets he had bought fell off, some of them spilling their contents. He was now clutching onto a rope, with zombies falling below. Shuyong shouted, "Dimensional shift," but his passive skill, Quick Climb, activated instead. Shuyong thought he couldn't hold on and needed to dimensional shift now. However, the panel informed him he had 7 skill points and that activating a passive skill cost 1 point, with each upgrade costing double the last. Shuyong thought, what kind of system is this? Upgrade now. The passive skill Quick Climb was upgraded twice, consuming 3 skill points. After the activation, he felt awesome. He was now effortlessly hanging by his old body weight with items on his back, using just one hand. He exclaimed how awesome it was, noting he could now easily hold onto the wire with just one hand, calling it incredible. He then stood on top of the wire and declared he could even walk on the wire, like walking on the ground, cool, just like Spider-Man. He proceeded to perform several Spider-Man moves on the wire. Rua, standing on the rooftop, observed Shuyong's acrobatic display. She thought she had believed Shuyong was just a fragile, ordinary person, but who knew his climbing skills were so strong? She realized Yun had been right. This guy was no ordinary person. Shuyong landed safely on the floor, observing that the original path was blocked by zombies. He concluded he needed to get to a higher vantage point to survey the terrain and find another way back to base. He spotted a building ahead, noting it seemed to offer a good view. As he began climbing the building, he remarked that scaling the wall was a total breeze, wondering if there were more skills to unlock in the system and feeling excited. Just as he was climbing, he noticed a large number of zombies inside the building through a window. He muttered that these zombies looked gross up close. Taunting them, he yelled, "Want some fresh meat? Come on, you stinkin' zombies, catch me if you can." The glass suddenly shattered, and he fell into the swarm of zombies, instinctively killing one with his bare hand. The zombie's neck was severed. Shuyong, terrified, exclaimed, "What is this? Has my grip strength become so strong that I can snap a zombie's neck directly?" Another zombie lunged at him. He quickly killed it and then, seeing zombies everywhere, and realizing his trusty iron arm couldn't handle this many, he decided it was better to deal with them later. He jumped out of the room and grabbed onto another window's glass. Zombies tumbled out behind him. He sighed in relief, commenting, "That was close. Just a scratch and that would be the end of me in this dangerous world. You can't afford to be too showy." He then noticed he felt a lot lighter than before and wondered what was happening. He looked behind him and saw his bag was gone. He shouted, "Where's my bag?" It had fallen amidst the zombies. Shuyong exclaimed, "How could this happen? I made it all the way up for nothing, and now I even lost my supplies." He gritted his teeth, lamenting that he had blew his remaining cash on that stuff, adding, "No way. That's my startup capital for getting rich. I must get that back." He courageously returned to the zombies, addressing them, "Hey buddies, I am back. Fancy some soft, tender little human hands?" He extended his hand, and all the zombies started falling towards it, tumbling down because zombies couldn't think logically. Shuyong encouraged them, right, just like that. No rush, one at a time, everyone. The zombies continued falling down one by one. Shuyong, observing the silence, noted that they had all been knocked down and that there were so many of them, making his arms sore from hitting them. He spotted his bag and confidently declared, "These zombies are a piece of cake. Just a tiny trick and they're redone for." Just then, he saw something behind him. He wondered if he had just seen a red shadow or something, or if he was simply imagining things. Suddenly, a very large zombie appeared in front of him and attacked Shuyong. As the zombie lunged, Shuyong frantically slammed out of the door, only to be thrown back against a wall, wincing in pain. He tried to run, but the goblin-like creature in front of him was incredibly fast. Shuyong was shocked, thinking this zombie was unexpectedly agile and that he hadn't even seen it coming. He considered momentarily returning to the modern world to avoid danger, but quickly realized he would reappear in the same spot upon shifting back, which would be a waste of his skill points. Damn, no time, he thought. He had no choice but to go all in. He activated the system and commanded it to use all stored zombie cores and skill points for an upgrade. His quick climb skill immediately upgraded to level 6, and he unlocked 2 new skills, fearless focus and steady footing. He turned back to the zombie, now able to see its movements clearly. He thought he had its current moves down and could dodge its attacks just in time. He ran, the zombie close behind him. He realized it was still clinging to him, unable to shake it off even after using all his skill points. He cursed, thinking he was only just keeping pace with it. He had expected to suppress it by going all out. With such high-speed movement, his stamina was depleting fast. He knew he wouldn't last much longer. If he slowed down for even a second, it would catch up and snap his neck. Just then, he reached a dead end, a concrete wall. But Shuyong grabbed a log of wood lying nearby and pierced it straight through the goblin's shoulder, all the way to its spine, getting it through the zombie's body. He relaxed for a moment, but then the goblin started moving again. Shuyong exclaimed, "Damn it! Not dead yet. What the heck is this thing?" Finally, he managed to kill the zombie and extracted the zombie core from its body. Tired, he mumbled that he had managed to salvage something after all. Just as he emerged, Ruah saw him and thought that he had actually managed to escape. She concluded that Shuyong's combat abilities seemed to be on par with hers. Shuyong reached the bunker and announced his return, inviting them to come and see what cool stuff I bought. "I'll blow your minds." Yun's younger sister came out and joyfully exclaimed, "Brother Shuyong, you're back." Shuyong asked who she was. She identified herself, asking if he couldn't recognize her without bandages and why he was covered in blood. She asked if he was all right. He reassured her he was fine, explaining it was all zombie blood. She pressed him, telling him he better not be lying and to let her check on him. Shuyong confidently invited her to check him out as much as she liked, feeling amazing. She indeed found no wounds. She then observed that he was covered in dirt and urged him to get cleaned up quickly, offering to bath with him. Shuyong was taken aback, asking what she meant by, "You and me bath together." She confirmed it, already taking off her clothes, and explained that they needed to save water since it was in short supply. Inside the bathroom, Ruah urged Shuyong to hurry up and undress, questioning why he was taking so long to come in. Shuyong expressed concern, asking if her older sister would kill him if she found out. Ruo dismissed his worry, stating her sister wouldn't get mad and they usually bathe together anyway. She told him to stop delaying and just come in. Shiyong, internally conflicted, thought, is this how it should be? Then I shall respectfully comply. I'm coming in. He turned to enter, but just then Yun, her elder sister, arrived and grabbed Shiyong by the ear, demanding he stop right there. She accused him of seeing her sister's naked body. Shiyong quickly denied it, claiming that since childhood he had had extremely bad eyesight, like 8,000 degrees of nearsightedness, so bad he wouldn't even recognize his uncle if he stood centimeters in front of him. He then came out of the bathroom, changing the subject, and proudly declared, "Look what cool stuff I bought back. We got enough stuff here to last for days." He added that for a balanced diet, he had also brought some fruit. Yun saw the bananas and seemed surprised. Shiyong offered them to her, telling her not to be shy and to go ahead and eat. He then playfully smacked a banana into her mouth. She licked the banana, then ate it, exclaiming how sweet and delicious it was. She then looked at Shiyong, noticing his expression, and asked what was wrong. He quietly replied that he needed to savor it a bit more. Her sister, Ruo, remarked that there was so much food, it was like a dream. Yun asked Shiyong if he was giving all the food to them, acknowledging that these were all very, very precious supplies. Shiyong confirmed he was aware of that but stated he had given his word that if they guaranteed his safety, he wouldn't let them down. Yun thought to herself, yes, no matter what, I should keep my promise. However, she also remembered that when Shiyong was in danger earlier, she had just hidden in the shadows and hadn't helped him. Shiyong then confessed that his savings could only afford this much supplies one more time, indicating he needed to figure out a way to make money fast. He also internally reminded himself that he still needed a zombie core for his dimensional shift points and that he was out of skill points. Yun questioned the usefulness of money, stating it was practically worthless, just like scrap paper, and too slippery even for wiping your butt. Shiyong clarified that, to be precise, it should be gold and treasures and such. He explained that his business was trading supplies for these things. Both Yun and Ruo stood up and looked at each other. Yun then walked towards the table and pulled out a gold bar that she had been using to balance the table. She asked Shiyong if he thought this would work. There were 3 gold bars. He thought the texture is gold. She then stated that she remembered it was called that, but it was basically worthless now. She explained she had used it to prop up the table leg because it was perfectly square. She then asked if this was what he considered gold and treasures. If so, she had 5 or 6 more pieces on the table over there. Shiyong was shocked to see them. She told him to take them all as they were useless to us anyways. He then found himself sitting in front of 7 or 8 gold bars on his table. Shiyong slept soundly, dreaming of his newfound wealth. He was muttering about being rich and having money now, but just then Ruo, the younger sister, approached him, a knife in hand, poised to stab him. Yun, the elder sister, swiftly intervened, grabbing Ruo's arm and asking what she was doing. Ruo declared that if they killed him now, all his supplies would be theirs. Yun argued against it, insisting that Shiyong had saved them and they wouldn't be alive if he hadn't given them the penicillin. She questioned how they could repay kindness with malice. Ruo countered, reminding Yun of how they had ended up in this mess to begin with. She recounted how Zhong, a scoundrel, had initially won them over by putting on an act only to sell them out to Faction 17. They had lost their entire base, with dozens of people slaughtered, and only the 2 of them had barely made it out alive. Ruo confessed that if Yun hadn't stopped her in the bathroom earlier that day, she would have already dug Shiyong's eyes out. Yun insisted that Shiyong was not like that traitor. She pointed out that he had a reason to waste penicillin on them when they were nearly dead. She emphasized that their entire fortune wouldn't be enough to buy a box of penicillin, yet Shiyong had still given them the precious medicine. She concluded that he was not a bad person. Just then, Shiyong woke up and asked what the 2 of them were doing and what was with the silent mumbling. Ruo quickly got on his legs and, looking innocent, told him that she wanted to sleep with him. Shiyong was shocked, asking why she hadn't said so earlier, lamenting that they had wasted a ton of precious time. Yun then stated that she wanted to sleep with him too. Shiyong, surprised again, agreed, but insisted on sleeping in the middle. He found himself sleeping between the 2 beauties. Ruo subtly reached for her knife, intending to harm him, but Yun swiftly kicked the knife away, resulting in Yun landing above Shiyong in an awkward position. Shiyong inquired what Yun was trying to do, reminding her they couldn't do anything with her sister still there. Yun firmly declared that she wanted him to sleep only with her. From then on, she stated, Shur-young would sleep with her too, and she would keep him safe at night. Shur-young conceded, thinking that safety did matter, and accepted her terms. Later, Ro was talking to Shur-young and asked if he was an evolved. Shur-young feigned ignorance, asking what an evolved one was, claiming he was just a regular handsome guy. Ruo then asked how he had escaped from that building. Shur-young asked how she knew. Ruo explained that she had a really sharp nose, and that yesterday, when he came back, she had picked up on his scent from that building. She added that only the strongest, evolved ones could make it out alive from there, implying Shur-young must be pretty awesome too. Shur-young, quickly concocting a story, replied that he had just gotten lost yesterday, but luckily didn't run into many zombies, and he had his handgun to thank for his narrow escape. He thought to himself, who would believe I had the primordial emperor system? Let's make something up. Yun then remarked that his marksmanship wasn't bad and asked if he wanted to go practice at the shooting range. At the shooting range, Yun questioned his aim, asking if he was sure he was aiming at the target or if he had some kind of eye problem. She then had enough and declared that his grip on the gun was all wrong and she would show him how it was done. She moved closer to him, held his hands, and instructed him on how to target with a gun. Yun instructed Shur-young to relax his arm, advising him not to tense his body too much, to calm down, and to aim at the target. She then commanded, fire, and he hit the target. Just then, the system notified him, long-range weapon mastery skill activated. Upgrade now. Shur-young thought that he could still activate more skills, but he had used up all his zombie core power. He had only the last one he got from the mutated zombie remains, which gave him 2 skill points, and a dimensional shift cost 1 point. He needed to save them for shifting back to reality, as he had no spare skill points left to upgrade to new skills. He then asked Yun if she knew where he could buy zombie cores. She asked if he meant a marketplace, and he confirmed. She told him there was a small trading post about 2 kilometers from here where he could exchange zombie cores. He expressed his delight and suggested they go there. They journeyed to the marketplace, where an old guard, sitting with a gun pointed at them, simply said, "Come in." Yun casually greeted Old Garlic, teasing him for being too jumpy and still worried about zombies here. The old man retorted that he was scared of humans, not zombies. He then asked what they wanted to trade. Shur-young inquired if he had any zombie cores. The old man asked what his offer was. Shur-young placed several food packages of spaghetti on the table. The old man exclaimed, "Holy smokes! This is some good stuff. Early 21st century fresh meat cans. These things are really rare these days." Shur-young then stopped him, stating, "Wait up. First, the zombie cores." The old man remarked that Shur-young might look silly, but he was pretty sharp. Shur-young reminded him that he had just said it himself. "It's people, not zombies, that are scary. I need to be cautious." The old man agreed and said he would get the stuff out. He presented Shur-young with the zombie cores, stating, "Here, these are all the zombie cores I have, a total of 11. Market price-wise, a single mutated meat can get you 2 zombie cores. Your goods are high quality, so elsewhere, you get 4 zombie cores for a can of fresh meat. You can trade 3 cans per zombie core, but we only got 11, so I am 1 short on you. I'll make up the missing zombie core later. How does that sound?" Shur-young declined the offer for him to make up the missing core and added that he was going to throw in another can for him, but he had to request. The old man asked what it was. Shur-young then showed him a piece of gold and asked him to take a close look and if he recognized it. The old man admitted he was no expert, but it certainly didn't look like gold to him. Shur-young affirmed, "Nailed it. You got a keen eye. Guess I was right to see you. The extra cans are your commission, brother. You seem well connected. Help me gather metals of this kind, and I'll trade cans for whatever you collect. What do you think?" The old man said his deal sounded pretty sweet, but questioned why Shur-young needed this gold, as it wasn't worth a lot. Shur-young dismissed his concern, telling him to find as much of this stuff as he could, emphasizing, "The more, the merrier. I'll take all you've got." Shur-young then powered up the system with the zombie cores, and he had a total of 4 points. He commanded, "Upgrade long-range weapon mastery 4 times." He then loaded the gun and shot at the target, hitting all of them. He declared he had finally become a more like shooter. Shur-young then announced he had just activated a new effect called Doom Bullet, remarking it sounded pretty bad. He immediately wanted to try shooting one, but the system informed him that the Doom Bullet could only be used for free once a day. Shur-young complained about the system's stinginess and asked how to use the Doom Bullet then. The system instructed him to simply shout, "Doom bullet, fire," and launch it. Shi-young found this ridiculous, asking if the system was kidding him and if it thought he was some kind of superhero needing to shout out his moves, calling it too embarrassing. The system retorted by asking if all humans didn't like to yell out their moves before making them, claiming it was according to your customs. Shi-young snapped back, asking the artificial damn bit if it had decided to be considerate now, recalling that when he was about to fall to his death earlier, he hadn't seen it rushing to help. He then looked around, gathered his confidence, took out the gun, and shouted, "Doom bullet, fire." He fired the bullet. Both girls behind him watched in awe as the bullet hit the building across. Shi-young remarked, "How come there is no reaction when it hits the building across? Isn't this just a regular bullet?" He concluded he needed to do more research on this bullet. The girls quickly turned around, going about their regular tasks. Yun, the elder sister, suggested they just leave things there and clear out a room for Shi-young. Just then, Shi-young asked if she could actually carry all that stuff and offered to help her with it. The elder sister scoffed, stating, "What? It's not heavy at all. This weight is nothing for us evolvers." Shi-young was intrigued, repeating, "Evolvers? This is incredible." She confirmed, stating that ordinary survivors couldn't compare to them, but very few people managed to evolve successfully. Shi-young then asked if there were any requirements to become an evolver and if he had a chance to become one. She asked if he wanted to become an evolver and explained there were 3 ways to do so. The first way was to get infected with the R virus. As long as one survived without turning into a zombie and successfully developed their talent, they had a chance to become an evolver. However, this method was more common in the early stages of the R virus outbreak and was hardly heard of later on. The second method was directly consuming a zombie core after swallowing it. As long as one didn't bust from it, there was less than a 10% chance of becoming an evolver. The third method was to take an evolution potion. These came in 3 levels, 1, 2, and 3, and she had heard that major organizations even had better evolution potions. Shi-young's eyes lit up. He asked where they could get these potions, declaring he was willing to trade whatever it took. Yun offered to take him to the Earth Construction Alliance's stronghold, explaining they were different from Camp Number 17. They were an organization that only looked at benefits, so he should be able to trade resources for an evolution potion there. Shi-young exclaimed, "Great! Let's set off tomorrow." The next day, Shi-young, with his backpack, glanced at Ruo, the younger sister, and asked Yun if Ruo wasn't coming along with them and why he always felt like she was glaring at him these days. Yun dismissed his concern, stating Ruo was glaring because she had an eye condition. Just then, they reached the outskirts of their base, and there were too many zombies. Yun remarked that it felt like there were more and more zombies near the base and that it looked like it was time to clean up a bit. Meanwhile, back at the shooting range, Ruo angrily muttered about that damn Shi-young and why Yun wouldn't let her kill him. Just then, she saw the building in front of her collapse. She thought, what the heck? How did the building across collapse? It was due to the doom bullet that Shi-young had fired earlier. In the quiet streets, a lone zombie ambled along until it was abruptly struck by a dagger. It was Shi-young and Yun. Yun explained that this was Central Street, known for its particularly high zombie population, and advised against firing a gun unless absolutely necessary. She then bent down and opened a roll-up shutter, revealing a car inside. Shi-young asked if this was also her base. She explained that for safety, she maintained several supply points. She added that it would be best to drive to the Earth Construction Alliance from here, noting it was only a 2.5-hour drive on the highway. Their car sped down the highway, with many zombies hot on their heels. Shi-young pointed out the pursuing zombies. Yun casually replied that no bodies would shake them off soon. She then asked Shi-young if he was sure he wanted to become an evolver, warning him that even the highest grade evolution potion could be lethal. Shi-young admitted he wasn't sure if he should take it, but decided they should buy it first. He thought that the main purpose of this trip to the Earth Construction Alliance was to exchange supplies. He recalled Yun's description of the Earth Construction Alliance as being similar to a guild. He reasoned that since they were outnumbered, there was no guarantee they wouldn't harm them. He decided not to reveal too much in their first deal, aiming to win mutual trust first. Just then, a zombie tugged at his car window, terrifying Yun. She exclaimed that it was a red zombie and wondered how so many had shown up all of a sudden. She urged Shi-young to quickly shut the window down. Shi-young fired gun bullets at the zombie, but the zombies were too fast and dodged his shots. One of the zombies directly broke the car's roof and struck his hand inside. Shi-young shot that zombie. Damn it! Why can't I hit them? am usually dead accurate. He cursed. Yun explained that red zombies instinctively dodged bullets and normal weapons were no use against them. She instructed Shuyong to drive as fast as he could, declaring she would handle them. She then came out of the car to fight the red zombies. They both attacked each other. She swiftly took out her waist blade and cut one zombie in half. As others came towards them, she cut them down too. One of the zombies gripped her leg and threw her from the car. She fell onto the road, with many zombies about to attack her. Just as they were about to lunge, Shuyong appeared and shouted, "Hey, you guys! Don't hurt my bodyguard!" Yun looked at Shuyong, utterly bewildered, questioning how he could have killed those red zombies. She stammered that he had killed them in an instant. Shuyong, still catching his breath, acknowledged it was close, almost not making it. A moment before, when she had fallen from the car, he had emerged, using one of his skills, and with his gun, had banged the zombies straight on their heads, wiping them out. Shuyong then challenged the red zombies. "You can dodge bullets, huh? I'll blast your brains out." "No way you are dodging that." Yun thought, this Shuyong is actually this powerful to wipe out 6 red zombies in such a short time. That's almost at the level of a first-tier evolver. Shuyong then began collecting the zombie cores, declaring, "Jackpot. All zombie cores, time to power up again." He then felt a pang of exhaustion, thinking that his body couldn't handle such high-speed movement after all and that he should probably hit the gym more. He then asked Yun where the zombie cores had gone. Yun quickly urged Shuyong to stop looking and to look around instead. They were surrounded by a fresh wave of zombies. She exclaimed, "Where did suddenly so many zombies come from?" She shook her head, saying she had no idea, and urged him to, "Let's go and drive away." They rushed towards the vehicle. Zombies were attacking them, and Yun instructed Shuyong to save their bullets, as there were too many of them. It was a whole swarm of zombies. Yun accelerated the vehicle, and they drove over the zombies, killing them. Shuyong then asked why the car wasn't moving. Yun explained that the zombies had struck under the car, and too many zombies had now surrounded them. He asked how many bullets they had left. She replied, "Not many left." Shuyong said he only had 10 bullets left. He thought that 10 bullets were nothing against so many zombies and that the only skill he could use now was the Doom Bullet. He asked the system if it had said before that only 1 Doom Bullet per day was free. The system confirmed. He then asked how many Doom Bullets he could buy with his remaining skill points. The system stated that the first-time purchase of Doom Bullets was on an equal skill point basis. He decided to buy 7 Doom Bullets and immediately purchase them. He thought that the remaining 2 skill points were for dimensional shift. If the 8 Doom Bullets didn't work, he could only shift back to the modern era. But then he worried about Yun, thinking she definitely wouldn't be able to escape on her own and would surely die here. Shuyong reassured her not to worry, as the car was very sturdy, and the zombies wouldn't be able to get in for a while. Yun looked at Shuyong, admonishing him for not conserving his bullets, stating that using them all up wouldn't help. She emphasized the importance of saving at least 1 bullet, as it would be very useful for him. Shuyong questioned the utility of a single bullet. Yun explained that she always kept a last bullet, asking if he would want to be eaten alive by zombies. She clarified that this last bullet was for oneself. She somberly added that death is a dime a dozen in this world, and that she was always ready to meet her end, but hoped to die a less painful death, suggesting he keep a last bullet too. Shuyong ignored her advice and fired all 8 Doom Bullets, but there was no reaction at all from the zombies. Just then, it started pouring rain. Yun remarked that it was raining, so they didn't have to worry about running out of water. She added that if they got stuck, they could only hope someone nearby lured the zombies away, but no one could be that kind-hearted. As the rain poured, an awful stench filled the air. Shuyong remarked on the terrible smell. Yun explained that the rain had puffed up the zombies' rotting flesh. She noted that every rainy day brought such a foul stench. She pointed to several buckets on the back of the car, which she had kept there for collecting drinkable water, and remarked that it was really pouring. She hadn't seen it rain this hard in a long time and predicted that if it kept raining like this for another day, they might see something interesting. Shuyong asked what kind of interesting thing she meant. Yun explained that zombies were basically undead and unrotting, but their moisture would be lost, so the zombies they saw now were all shriveled up. However, after they had been soaked in water for a while, their skin would start to swell, at first looking like how they were when they were alive, but this was only temporary. They would continue absorbing water, and their skin would become even more swollen until it reached its tensile limit, and finally burst, but they wouldn't die. They would just become more fascinating in appearance. Yun then abruptly stopped talking, complaining that the stench of decay was making her a bit nauseous. Suddenly, Yun urged Shuyong to look, exclaiming that the zombies had turned back into humans. Shuyong looked at a seemingly human figure and wondered if this was what she looked like when she was alive, noting she seemed about his age. He mused that if she were still alive, if the world were still normal, he asked Yun what she would do. Yun admitted she had never really thought about that. If there were no zombies, if the world were still normal, she would be a pastry chef. She then questioned if that would truly suit her. Shuyong confidently replied that of course, that career would perfectly suit her. He thought to himself that he couldn't leave Yun behind. There had to be a way. He considered that if he rested for another day, maybe he could use his rapid climbing skill to break through the zombie horde. Just then they saw dense lightning. Yun remarked that this area had always been dry and she had never seen weather like this. Then a blast occurred and the zombies were wiped out. Outside, the dead bodies of zombies lay strewn across the ground. Shuyong exclaimed that they were all down, and all the zombies had been struck dead by lightning. Yun suggested they move the bodies and clear a path, otherwise, they wouldn't be able to drive out. Shuyong, looking at the gruesome scene, exclaimed, "Wow, it's sprawling. It's damn." He then sighed in relief, "We survived. Yeah, we made it." The car then approached a shelter. A soldier guard on top of the wall announced a car was coming and reported it to the gatekeeper. Just then, the gatekeeper was resting with two girls in his bed. Someone arrived and urged, "Gatekeeper, sir, wake up. There's a car at the city gate." He woke up with a groan, asking if it wasn't too early for anyone to arrive, and instructed someone to go down and ask. A guard approached the car and demanded, "Hey everyone in the car, get out. Never seen you before. Where are you from? Are you here seeking refuge?" Shuyong quickly clarified, "No, we are traders. Here to exchange goods." The gatekeeper, now present, instructed them to bring the stuff over for him to check if they wanted to trade goods. One of the soldiers brought a food item and handed it to Brother Luo, the gatekeeper, stating, "Brother Luo, these are the goods he wants to trade." Yun saw the soldier open the package and protested, "Hey, we haven't traded the goods yet. Why did you open it already?" Shuyong quickly intervened, assuring the gatekeeper it was fine and that it was just right for you to try out the quality of the product. "Just try it out and I'll see." The gatekeeper, smelling the enticing aroma, said, "You know what's good." He took a bite, savoring it. Others around him asked, "Brother Luo, how's the taste?" He kept eating. Yun also remarked that it should do it, as he had finished the whole can. The gatekeeper lamented that it was gone before I even got a taste, not even getting to savor the flavor. Shuyong quickly offered him another, saying, "No bodies, he got more here. Have another." He gave 4 cans to them. Yun whispered to Shuyong, concerned, that he had already eaten 8 cans and asked if he knew how much they could trade for with 8 cans now. Brother Luo, now full, declared, "Not bad. I'm about 30% full. I'll let you guys enjoy the rest." He said to his members. They immediately snatched the remaining cans and fought for them. He then commented that those cans tasted pretty good and promised to report to the Lord for Shuyong. He instructed someone to escort the 2 guests to the waiting area. A guard said, "Come with me," and led them to a human refugee shelter. Someone inside remarked, "Check out the new stuff. This stuff is top-notch quality." Shuyong asked if all these houses were occupied. The guard confirmed they were, explaining they were refugees sheltered by the city lord, without whom they would have been zombie food 8 years ago. Just then, a man appeared in front of them, beating another person and shouting, "You dare to steal medicine. I'll beat you to death." The person being beaten was a girl, who pleaded, "Stop hitting me. Spare my life. I won't steal again." Shuyong approached the man who was beating the girl, pleading for mercy and asking why he resorted to violence. The man angrily told him to get out of the way, explaining that the girl dared to steal medicine from the warehouse. He emphasized that medicines are rarer and more precious than food, and their unauthorized use was punishable by death. He stated they only dared to use them with the explicit command of the city lord, but this girl had stolen medicines several times. "Luckily, I caught her this time," he declared, demanding, "Now, where is the medicine girl? Hand it over." The guard then told Shuyong and Yun that they, outsiders, need not worry about this matter, as they had their own justice system to punish thieves, instructing them to please keep following me. The man who had been beating the girl then addressed her, "You little girl, come with me. Go to the justice office. Let's see how the head of justice decides to deal with you." The guard informed Shuyong that the city lord was busy today and wouldn't be able to meet with them, so the upstairs was for resting, and he would take them to meet the city lord tomorrow. The next day, an old woman, a grandmother, was asking around, "Have you seen my granddaughter?" A man beside her said he hadn't seen her. The old woman went around the market, repeating her question to various people. One man rudely told her to get lost, stupid old hag, threatening her if she delayed him from going to the mine. But the old lady persisted, describing her granddaughter, who is but a small braid in her brown hair, and how she hadn't come back since last night. She desperately asked if anyone had seen her. Yun murmured that the old lady's granddaughter must be the girl from yesterday. The guard, seemingly confirming this, told Yun not to worry, as someone will notify her. Yun then approached the old lady and gently told her that her granddaughter was taken to the justice office yesterday for stealing medicine and suggested she go there and ask. The old lady cried out, "Xiao Yi has been captured. It's my fault, all because of me. She only stole the medicine to help me. So it's my fault. Arrest me instead. I took the medicine." The guard, hearing this, interrupted, "All right, it's almost time to meet with the Lord. Hurry up." The old lady continued to lament, "The justice office. I need to go to the justice office." Just then, the guard entered the city lord's palace and announced, "Lord Chu Wang, the merchant has arrived." The city lord, a portly man surrounded by two girls, instructed, "Let him in." Yun looked at him and asked, "So, you are Chu Wang?" Shuyong confirmed it was him. The city lord stated that his trading rule was only to exchange goods with people he knew. However, the guard interjected, reminding the city lord that the canned meat Shuyong had brought was really tasty, asking if that was true. Shuyong affirmed, "Indeed. It can make everyone who has tried it love it. Lord, you should have a try too." He gestured to the guard to bring some of the packets towards the city lord and said, "Lord, please enjoy." The city lord opened the canned packet, ate it in one gulp, then grabbed all of them at once and devoured them. He exclaimed, "This is so delicious. This is 1,000,000 times better than the beast meat I usually eat. How many more of these cans do you have? I want them all. I'll trade anything for them." Shuyong expressed his delight, saying, "Fantastic. Lord, you really know your stuff." The city lord then asked what goods Shuyong would like to trade for. Shuyong stated he wanted to trade for zombie cores, an evolution potion, and some gold. The city lord was confused by the mention of gold. Just then, the guard explained what the gold was. The city lord then chuckled, "And here I was wondering what it was. Turns out it's that thing. We can trade. He got plenty of gold." The city lord instructed the guards to take the merchant down to tally the supplies and give him the items he wished to trade. A guard affirmed the order. Just then, Shuang interjected, telling the city lord that he had another request. The city lord inquired about the nature of this request. Shuang explained that a girl had stolen medicine from the warehouse the previous day and had subsequently been arrested by the justice office. He offered to compensate them with triple the amount of the stolen medicine supplies, expressing his hope that they would release her. The city lord questioned whether this was true, and the guard confirmed that it was, adding that the thief had already been locked up by Chief Justice Kichi. The city lord then stated that since Shuang was offering triple compensation, they would not suffer any loss. He further informed Shuang that after the raid, his guards would escort him to the justice office to secure the girl's release. Shuang expressed his gratitude to the city lord. The trade then proceeded, and the guard provided Shuang with the supplies: 10 kilograms of gold, 100 zombie corpses, and 2 evolution portions. Shuang mentally noted that with 100 zombie corpses, he could upgrade numerous skills. He acknowledged that the quantity was correct, but, more importantly, he needed to find a day to return to the modern world and sell the gold. He had no idea how much he would sell it for, but he was certain he would make a fortune this time. The guard advised Shuang to hold on to the release order from the city lord, stating that it would suffice to take him to the justice office. Shuang replied that it was acceptable but inquired about Xiao, wondering if she was not supposed to wait for him at the main gate. Just then, Shuang observed many people gathered in one place. He questioned why there were so many people at the justice office entrance. The guard sternly commanded everyone to scram and get out of his way, questioning their presence and what they were doing crowding there. He remarked that it seemed the mine was not providing them with enough work, and he would propose to the city hall the following day to double their workload. Everyone scattered. Just then, another person arrived and told the guard to let them be, explaining that he was the one who had called them there. He stated that it was for the people to witness the consequences of stealing from the city. He then addressed the assembled crowd, telling them to get a good look, and reminded them that they survived in the post-apocalyptic world only because the city lord allowed it, emphasizing that everything in the city belonged to the city lord. The girl was hanging dead. The person continued, stating that unauthorized actions were akin to defying those in authority, and defying authority was a capital offense. A grandmother was crying. Shuang crumpled the paper in his hand and exclaimed that it was some kind of joke. He muttered about the bastard, questioning what he thought a human life was worth, asserting that the girl had only stolen the medicine to treat her family. The man then addressed Shuang, remarking that he had not seen him before and surmising that he must be the merchant who had come to trade. He then seized Shuang's hand and twisted it, and Shuang's bone cracked. The man then told Shuang that since he was from an outside city, he would forgive him this time. The guard, accompanying Shuang, informed Chief Justice Qiqi that Shuang was indeed a new merchant from outside the city and requested forgiveness for any mistakes. The man, Chief Justice Qiqi, then inquired if Xiao had accompanied Shuang to trade. Shuang asked what had happened. Chief Justice Qiqi explained that Xiao had been captured while attempting to break into the prison, adding that she seemed extremely angry about him killing the girl. He expressed uncertainty about whether to release her or execute her directly. The guard urged Chief Justice Qiqi to calm down, emphasizing that the city lord was very fond of these two and that killing them would mean the city lord would never again taste their delicious flesh. He suggested simply keeping them alive. Just then, Shuang powered up his system with all the zombie codes he possessed and asked how many times he could upgrade with his current skill points. The system replied that he could upgrade 3 levels. Shuang immediately confirmed the upgrade. He had now reached level 7, and the next upgrade would require 128 skill points. A physical damage detection then indicated the need for skill points to recover, and Shuang confirmed the recovery of his broken hand. People in the front speculated that Shuang would definitely kill Chief Justice Qiqi for real if he could capture Xiao so easily, concluding that his strength must be formidable. Shuang mentally acknowledged their thoughts and further considered that a doom bullet might take Chief Justice Qiqi down, but it might also hurt the people around. He decided that the best course of action was to use extreme speed to escape with Xiao. Having leveled up 3 times, he believed he should be able to hold on until they escaped. He activated extreme speed climbing. He ran past the 2 guards who were holding Xiao and in front of Chief Justice Qiqi, then climbed the building, announcing his intention to make a grand escape in one go. He then exclaimed that his climbing skill could last longer than before. Just then, Xiao told Shuang not to worry and suggested they escape first. After they had covered a significant distance, Shuang declared that he was maxed out and at this distance, they should not be able to catch up. He commented on how close they had come. Xiao apologized, telling Shuang that she had dragged him into this. Shuang reassured her, telling her not to say that she had done nothing wrong, taking all the blame on himself for being there and for not taking action earlier. Xiao expressed her surprise at how quickly they had acted, lamenting her own weakness and wishing she could have held them off longer. Shuang inquired if that was Chief Justice Qiqi. Xiao confirmed it, stating that he must be a level 5 evolver. Shuang asked if a level 5 evolver was considered very powerful. Xiao explained that evolvers always started from level 1 and that breaking through each level was very difficult, recounting that it had taken her 10 years just to break through to level 3. She further elaborated that every faction had its own high-level evolver to protect its safety, but level 5 evolvers were quite rare. Some even believed there were level 10 warriors who could easily dispatch a safety with a single move. Shuang mused that even in the apocalypse, there were still incredibly strong people, and he thought that he had been too naive in believing he could dominate the world with his system. Just then, Chief Justice Qiqi reached them. Xiao shouted a warning. Chief Justice Qiqi then struck Shuang with a knee strike. Shuang was hurt, but Chief Justice Qiqi continued to beat him severely. Xiao shouted his name, but Chief Justice Qiqi retorted, asking if he had said they could leave, holding Shuang's head between his hands. Then, Chief Justice Qiqi left Shuang on the floor. Xiao was about to attack him, but with a single punch, he forced her to retreat and then grabbed her neck. Xiao told him to let her go, but Shuang then drank the evolution portion he had. He was in severe pain. Xiao questioned why he drank the evolution portion. Shuang did not respond, but he laughed through the pain. Chief Justice Qiqi remarked that it was like watching a dying bug making its last desperate struggle and wondered if Shuang would rather die from self-destruction than submit to him, finding it quite amusing. Xiao was enraged. Shuang's eyes turned red, and he experienced a flashback to his past. In the memory, someone asked Shuang why he always had to fight, reminding him that the teachers kept telling him to get along with his classmates. Shuang retorted that he did not want to, and if they bullied him, he would hit back. The teacher then slapped him. Later at home, his father reprimanded him for continuing to fight at school, asking if he dismissed his words as empty, and complaining that Shuang was embarrassing him by saying he was born but never raised properly. In another memory, Shuang's manager told him to stop coming to work from the following day. Shuang asked why, inquiring what he had done wrong. The manager replied that it was common for the boss to ask female staff to drink more and questioned why Shuang always interfered, telling him to mind his own business from then on. In a final memory, Shuang witnessed a man harassing a girl. The girl pleaded with the man to let go of her. The man told her to stay and have some fun with him. Shuang intervened, asking what they were doing. The man told him to beat it and leave them alone. Shuang was beaten very brutally, but he still held onto the man's legs. The man demanded that he let go of him, calling him a mad dog, and decided that they should leave before the cops showed up. The lady thanked Shuang, expressing her appreciation. She noticed that Shuang was tearing up a suit and asked if he had nowhere to stay. She offered him a room for rent in her apartment. Shuang admitted that he was indeed looking for a place and asked about the monthly rent. The lady assured him that it was very cheap. The lady and Shuang went to her home. As Shuang was eating, the memory concluded, and the scene shifted back to the present, where Chief Justice Qiqi was hitting Shuang. Chief Justice Qiqi mockingly remarked that Shuang was like a dead dog and that his evolution seemed to have failed. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ro was observing Shuang and thought that he was almost lost, trapped in an endless stream of memories. She mused that the probability of her level 2 evolution portion working was too low, and at this rate, it could only go so far. She concluded that the quality this time really wasn't high and she might as well find another one. Ruo reflected that they had tried so many times but still could not succeed, implying that self-destruction might be their fate. Shuang, still immersed in the memories, was talking to the lady. She asked if the food was tasty. He enthusiastically replied that it was delicious and that her cooking was so good she could open a restaurant, adding that he could eat it every day. The lady responded that as long as he wanted to eat, she would make it for him every day. Shuang remained silent for a moment. The lady then mentioned that she had bought a cake from a popular dessert shop that day and encouraged him to try it. Shuang ate it and declared it delicious. Just then, an idea came to his mind, and he exclaimed that he wanted to be a pastry chef. The lady asked what was wrong, as Shuang seemed a bit lost in thought. Shuang replied that he thought he might have forgotten something. On the other hand, Chief Justice Qiqi was about to take Xiao, whom he had tied up. Xiao defiantly asked what he was doing and told him to just kill her if that was his intention. Chief Justice Qiqi replied that he would not, explaining that he would be in trouble if he killed all the suppliers the city lord needed. He added that Zhao's face was pretty, and if all else failed, he could always cut her tendons and present her to the city lord as a plaything. Just then, Shuang grabbed Chief Justice Qiqi's hand and leg and stood up. He declared that Chief Justice Qiqi was not going anywhere. Shuang clutched Chief Justice Qiqi's jacket and punched him in the face. Shuang then began to beat Chief Justice Qiqi so brutally that the ground shattered. Chief Justice Qiqi's face was covered in blood. Xiao exclaimed that Shuang had successfully evolved and expressed surprise, having thought he was already dead. Shuang replied that he was not that easy to kill. Just then, Chief Justice pierced his hand straight through Shuang's chest. Xiao was shocked by what happened. Shuang, however, calmly stated, "Well done, the evolution was a success." It was Chief Justice Qiqi who uttered these last words, confirming the success of Shuang's evolution even as he was being killed. Chief Justice Qiqi, despite being impaled, declared that even if Shuang had successfully evolved, he was merely a level 1 evolver and questioned if Shuang truly believed that was sufficient to defeat him. Shuang clenched his teeth, and a surge of energy emanated from his body. Chief Justice Qiqi exclaimed in disbelief, questioning how that was possible, recognizing it as a golden abyssal physique, something only a level 10 evolver would possess. Just then, Chief Justice Qiqi was seen running towards the speed demand gateway, his thoughts racing. He had just seen how Shuang could use the golden abyssal physique, an ability he was certain was indeed the golden abyssal physique, just like one he had witnessed before. Now Xiao, standing there, pointed her finger towards Chief Justice Qiqi and fired an attack. Chief Justice Qiqi was running with the attack just behind him, which appeared massive. It struck Chief Justice Qiqi, and the man was wiped out. Meanwhile, the city lord inquired about the commotion, sensing an intensely powerful wave emanating from 10 miles outside his city. He wondered which powerful figure was passing through the area in Faction 17. His aide responded, "Come." Someone then asked the city lord what was wrong. He answered that the force was wrong. In the climber's location, the lady with Shuang asked him if he felt it. Everyone was shocked by the sheer force that Shuang had released. Xiao urged Shuang to hold on, assuring him that she was going to patch him up in just a second. However, she then exclaimed that the wound was too severe and she couldn't stop the bleeding. But just then, Shuang's body itself stopped the bleeding, and Xiao, filled with relief and urgency, told Shuang that he must hold on and she would take him to the doctor right away. Just then, the city lord came running to the area, noting that the aura had disappeared. He pondered why such a strong evolver would be fighting near his domain and expressed his hope that he hadn't offended them. He reasoned that as a straightforward businessman, it was unlikely he would have provoked any high-level evolvers. About 4 then, at a different location, a gate was violently impacted. The lady approached the door, but someone outside the door impatiently told her to hurry up and open it, then kicked the door open. It was Xiao. The lady exclaimed Zhao's name and told her that she would pay for the broken door. Xiao dismissed the remark, urging her to hurry up and help her save Shuang. Upon examining Shuang's injuries, the doctor expressed his perplexity, remarking on the strangeness of his vital signs. When asked what was wrong, the doctor admitted he couldn't definitively say Shuang was fine, nor could he say he wasn't. He decided to bandage his wounds for now, adding that he had scanned Shuang's organs and discovered a large area of metal material covering his wounded side. The doctor found this peculiar, noting that these metals had effectively saved Shuang's life, and he had never before witnessed a wound heal in such a manner. Xiao then inquired if that meant Shuang was all right, but the doctor reiterated his inability to make a promise due to the sheer strangeness of the situation. Xiao pressed further, asking what exactly was going on, to which the doctor suggested keeping Shuang there for a few days for observation. Just then, the scene shifted to a leader in Group 17, who instructed his underlings to punch him a few times. The underlings, astonished, asked if he was serious, wondering how they could possibly hit him. He insisted, reminding them of how much he had bullied them and asking if they didn't want revenge. He urged them to come and beat him up to let off some steam, assuring them he wouldn't hold it against them. They nodded, and a flurry of punches landed on the boss. The boss, internally, cursed, thinking they had truly hit him hard, but he silently vowed to show them who was boss later. He was then seen walking to a doctor's clinic and knocked on the clinic door. When the doctor came out, he immediately told Dr. Zhao that he was injured again and needed treatment quickly. The doctor took him inside, remarking that it was his 3rd visit that month and he was getting injured too frequently. The man replied that his line of work simply made it easy for him to get hurt. Just then, Xiao emerged from a room and saw the man who had previously threatened and attacked them. She was shocked, wondering how he could possibly be there and whether Faction 17 lacked a medical facility. She realized that if he discovered their presence, he would undoubtedly send people to surround them, and she needed to leave before he could notify his faction. As they were moving towards the doctor's clinic, the doctor informed them that the rooms had patients and directed them to come over so he could dress their wounds. The leader agreed. Just as he entered Zhao's room, she was waking Shuang up. The doctor quickly intervened, stating that Shuang couldn't be moved around right now and instructing them to put him down. Xiao insisted that they had to leave. Just then, the leader entered, loaded his revolver, and shot at them. The doctor, aghast, demanded to know what he was doing. The leader explained to the doctor that Xiao and Shuang had killed over a dozen of his brothers, and he had vowed before that he would definitely kill them. Xiao then declared that she had already sent a signal and her faction brothers were nearby, asserting that he couldn't escape. Xiao didn't say anything further but began to run. The leader threatened to skin them alive. The doctor firmly interjected, stating that the leader could not kill people in his clinic as they were his patients. He warned the leader that if he dared touch them, he would never receive his help again. She emphasized her seriousness, asserting that she absolutely would not allow anyone to harm her patients. The leader conceded, saying he wouldn't lay a hand on the doctor's patients. Few more days to hide out in there, assuring them that she would have people block off the area around there, guaranteeing that the moment they stepped out of the clinic would be their end. Shuang found himself in the inner space of his mind. The system congratulated him on evolving into a perfect first-level evolver, stating his talent was energy gathering. Shuang expressed disbelief that he was not dead. The system explained that he had used up 3 years of his lifespan to defeat a 5th-level evolver with energy gathering. Shuang was astonished, questioning what, 3 years of life? The system elaborated that he had unconsciously relied on instinct to activate his energy-gathering talent and defeat a stronger opponent, at the cost of his own life energy. A voice then echoed Shuang's thoughts, remarking that they had underestimated him, never thinking he would evolve into a perfect evolver through sheer willpower. Shuang demanded to know who was speaking. The voice quoted an old human saying, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." It further explained that his evolution would unlock more functions in the system and advised him to use them well. Shuang reiterated his question, demanding to know who the voice was and why it had given him the system. The voice replied, expressing hope that Shuang would make it to the end, promising they would meet when he reached the end of the road. Just then, the doctor was attending to Shuang, marveling at his rapid recovery. He noted that it was truly magical. Shuang's wounds had completely healed in just one day, a speed he had never witnessed, even among evolvers with self-healing abilities. Xiao, observing this, wondered why Shuang hadn't woken up. The doctor explained that logically he should have woken up by now, but perhaps he needed a little stimulation to wake up. Just then, Shuang groaned, asking what they were doing and jokingly calling the doctor a freak. The doctor remarked that Shuang seemed to be recovering well and looked quite spirited. Xiao urged him to get dressed first. Shuang woke up and put on his clothes, then asked if that meant people from Faction 17 had already surrounded the area. Xiao confirmed this. She then explained that she could normally have defeated Zaysum, who was also a third-level evolver, and she was not too bad at fighting. However, she had sustained a critical hit to her internal organs in the last battle, which was why she had played it safe yesterday. Shuang declared that he would go out and take care of these opponents. Xiao offered to go with him, but he declined, telling her to focus on healing. Right now, as he could take them all down by himself. Outside the area, the leader and his members were waiting. One of them suggested to Brother Song that they should just rush in and kill the two. He refused, stating that he had promised Dr. Zhao and instructed them to stay put there. Another member then pointed out that the resource station had announced Dr. Zhao was going to buy medicine that afternoon, suggesting they could use that time to go in and kill them. They reasoned that they could then claim the pair had run off on their own, and Dr. Zhao wouldn't blame him. The leader agreed that the plan worked and decided to proceed. He commanded them to grab their weapons and kill the guy, but to capture the girl alive. Another member questioned why Brother Song was still messing around even after Dr. Zhao had given them the warning. He dismissed the concern, saying it was a different story and that keeping her in the dark would be fine. Just then, the door opened and Shuang emerged, standing in front of all the men. He declared that there was no need for them to come over as he, Shuang, had come himself. The members cursed, surprised that he dared to show up alone. Song commanded his boys to get him and chop him into pieces. Shuang activated his power and observed that all the other individuals were level 1, with only Song being level 3. After assessing his skills, Shuang calculated his chance of victory at 90%. He activated his powers, and in just a fraction of a second he knocked all of them out. Only Song remained standing because he was a level 3 warrior. Song exclaimed in disbelief, questioning how Shuang had powered up so fast, recalling that the last time he saw him, Shuang was just an ordinary low-level human. Shuang retorted that if he had used weapons, all of them would probably be dead in those few seconds. However, considering that Song hadn't made any moves yesterday, Shuang offered him another chance. To kneel down, start yapping like a dog, and address him as Grandpa. Only then, Shuang stated, might he let him go. The scene shifted, and Shuang went to the merchant with whom he had first traded. The merchant, presenting an assortment of goods, said that this was all he could find for now and asked Shuang to see if it was what he was looking for. Shuang gave the merchant food and affirmed that it was exactly the gold he desired, offering Qian in exchange. The merchant thanked him, and Shuang told him to keep helping him find gold, assuring him there would always be Qian for him. The merchant, puzzled, wondered what the kid needed gold for, noting that the common currency nowadays should be zombie corpses. Shuang then acquired a total of 20 kilograms of gold. Shuang declared that he had struck it rich and announced his intention to trade their supplies, as he needed to bring back more food and water. He asked Xiao if she would be all right outside and urged her to be careful on the road. Just then, he stepped out and activated Dimensional Shift, then woke up on Earth. Someone was knocking at the door. Shuang asked who it was and what the knocking was about. The lady, who was his landlord, came in, calling his name and hugging him. Shuang, surprised by her anxiety, asked what the rush was. The lady retorted that she should be asking him that, inquiring about his whereabouts these days and noting that he hadn't even answered her calls. Shuang explained that he had been out on some business where there was no cell signal and apologized profusely. The lady expressed her distress, saying that his sudden disappearance had nearly given her a heart attack and that she had almost called the police. She then firmly stated that there would be no more of this and told him to give her a heads up if he was going out. Shuang acknowledged her request and, as an apology, offered her a gift. The landlord initially refused the gift, telling him not to bother spending money as he hardly had any. Shuang, however, reassured her about the money, explaining that he had made quite a bit this time out. He suggested they go buy something she liked, adding that she could pick anything she wanted. The lady whispered to Shuang that the store was quite expensive and suggested they go to another place. Shuang, unconcerned, remarked that all the styles were pretty nice and urged her to quickly pick one she liked. He boasted that he had earned enough money to buy hundreds of these items and would be making even more later on. The lady, astonished, asked how Shuang had managed to earn so much money. Shuang then addressed a salesperson, asking her to show him their best merchandise. The salesperson politely responded, saying, "Certainly, sir, please wait a moment," and then showed him a necklace. Shuang asked the lady to try it on and he tied the necklace on her. The lady, delighted, kissed it and said she really liked it. Shuang expressed his pleasure that she liked it. The lady replied that as long as it was from him, she would love it. Shuang then decided on that one and asked the salesperson to wrap it up for him. The salesperson confirmed. Shuang then told the lady to wait there, saying he was going to run over to the bank and deposit some items real quick and would be right back. He then went to a shop and inquired if they bought gold there. The sales lady asked how many grams he would like to sell. Just then Shuang showed them the bag. It contained so much gold that the manager came running, addressing him by name and apologizing for the wait. Shuang said it was okay. The manager then asked to see the gold. Shuang replied that it was in the bag and told him to take a look himself. When the manager opened the bag, he was visibly shocked by the gold's shine. Shuang prompted him to test the purity and inquire about the total cash equivalent for the total kilograms. The manager simply told him to sign there, and he would be all set. The lady inquired of the manager how much money they had paid for those 20 kilograms of gold. The manager revealed that the 20 kilograms of gold, all exceeding 99.6% purity, amounted to a total of 6 million in cash. Shuang returned to the store and found two girls engaged in a dispute. The landlady, his companion, asserted her claim to a necklace. The other girl retorted by asking what she was doing and demanded to be released. The landlady insisted it was her necklace and asked for it back. The other girl then questioned if she had paid for it yet, implying that if she hadn't, it wasn't hers. Shuang inquired about the commotion. The landlady explained that the other girl had snatched the necklace he had given her. Shuang intervened, offering to buy it with gold and producing a piece of gold. He stated that the gold could purchase over a dozen of those necklaces. The lady standing beside the other girl, however, declared that the gold was fake and that since she had laid down the cash, the necklace was now hers. She then instructed the staff to wrap the necklace for her. The staff member apologized, explaining that the necklace had been reserved from the start, so even if she offered money first, they couldn't sell it to her, confirming that the necklace had been sold to the landlady. The other lady, enraged, muttered about the couple and vowed to deal with them later. Later, the landlady and Shuang were walking. The landlady suggested they had done enough and proposed they go to the market to buy groceries for home. Just then, Shuang was struck by a can. A group of gang members approached, and one of them identified Shuang. The lady recognized them as a despicable couple. The gang members accused the two brats of stealing his girl's necklace and ordered his underlings to beat them up, asserting they were asking for trouble. The landlady was shocked and terrified by the sudden attack, but then she noticed Shuang standing there, calm. Shuang calmly suggested they proceed to the market. The landlady, bewildered, asked where that group of people had gone. Shuang, feigning ignorance, said he didn't know, perhaps they had gone mad, and urged them to leave. They then went to a shop where the sales lady stated the price was 5.60. Shuang paid and thanked her. Just then, a man arrived and called out the landlady's name, Shuang. Shuang, surprised, asked her uncle what he was doing there and how he knew she was there, suspecting he had put a tracker on her phone. Her uncle then said she had forgotten what she had promised her dad and demanded she come home with him. Shuang interjected, stating that Shuang didn't want to go back with him and told him to leave. Uncle Zhao dismissed Shuang, telling him that he had told him countless times that someone like him was totally unworthy of Shuang. He further explained that Shuang's father was already looking for a suitable fiancé for her, and once found, he would marry her off right away. He reminded Shuang about her dad's past threats, recalling that if she didn't behave, he had somewhere to chop him up and throw him in the river. Shuang, visibly intimidated, said she understood and would head back with him. As she was about to leave, Shuang stopped her, asking if Shuang could come with him if he became rich. Uncle Zhao scoffed, questioning if Shuang meant his current account balance of over 6 million, telling him to stop dreaming and to talk to him when he could make 600 million a year. Shuang, processing the immense figure of 600 million, then declared that it would be 600 million and called out to Shuang, telling her to wait for him, vowing to definitely earn 600 million and take her with him. A group of people was seen discussing something, with one of them asking if the item had been found. The other confirmed its discovery, stating that the Earth Alliance possessed it and demanded 1,000 dark crystals for it. The first person expressed dismay at the exorbitant price, lamenting that all his combined assets barely amounted to that much, feeling as though they were trying to bleed him dry. The other person relayed the Earth Alliance's message. If he couldn't afford it, he should forget it, as there were plenty of other buyers. The first person, despite considering the price outrageous, thought that if he acquired it and gave it to him, he would definitely be willing to cooperate. He reasoned that with his help, not only 1,000 dark crystals, but all the resources of a database would be his. The second man then said he understood and instructed the first to go back and retrieve the item, stating he would take care of things. Just then, Shuang returned to the apocalypse world, announcing his arrival. Xiao exclaimed that they had more supplies than last time. Shuang confirmed, mentioning rice, flour, meat, and milk, all acquired. Xiao, surprised by the quantity of flour, asked why he had brought so much. Shuang explained that it was to make desserts for her, reminding her that she had once expressed a desire to be a pastry chef. Xiao, however, countered that her mission was to protect him and she hardly had time to make desserts. Shuang then gently reminded Xiao that her injuries hadn't healed yet and suggested she stay behind this time to rest up at the base. Ruo then volunteered to go on a business run with him. Shuang expressed that it would be a huge help. Xiao, however, vehemently disagreed, whispering to Ruo and questioning her intentions, asking if she was planning to assassinate Shuang on the road. Ruo feigned offense, asking what Xiao was talking about and if her sister could be that sinister. She explained that she felt embarrassed always taking things for free and wanted to fully cooperate this time. She assured Xiao not to worry about it. Shuang then agreed, stating they would set off tomorrow. The next day, Shuang and Ruo were riding in a jeep. They entered a small, narrow street. Shuang remarked on the confined entrance to the base. Ruo explained that it was easier to defend and harder to attack, also better for preventing both zombies and enemy attacks. Entered the base, and somewhere inside, 2 guards were carrying a large box, which they placed down. The main personage eagerly instructed them to open the treasure so he could have a look. They opened it. The man, however, seemed unimpressed, noting that it was just a stone and felt like an ordinary one, questioning if it could be a fake. Someone quickly interjected, warning not to touch the stick, stating that it was poisonous and even an evolved being would be poisoned and mutate within minutes of contact. They added that even a level 5 evolver could only hold it for a maximum of 15 minutes. The main personage remarked on its high toxicity and understood why he wanted to acquire it. He asked if its authenticity had been verified. The first guard confirmed that it had been verified and tested on non-evolved individuals without any wounds, who mutated immediately upon touching the stick. The first guard acknowledged their good work and expressed how he felt best when they took care of things. Just then, someone arrived and informed the commander that 2 traders had just arrived, wanting to exchange codes. They had a big bag of canned food with them and looked quite wealthy. The commander exclaimed that it was a real lifesaver, admitting he was flat broke. He noted that the money magnet was heading their way and instructed them to roll, declaring it was time to go. Now, with Ruo and Shuang set, Ruo remarked honestly that she and her sister weren't really involved with this joy base at all and that they should have done their research before rolling in there. Shuang, however, stated that he now needed to figure out a way to make money fast. He recalled that Ruo had said the highest level here was only a level 3 evolver, so if he could get them out safely, she shouldn't worry. Just then, the commander ran in, greeting the friends from a distant land and apologizing for keeping them waiting. He mentioned hearing they had brought some great food for trade and asked to see them. Shuang opened the bag and presented its contents, stating that this was everything. The commander saw the cans and expressed his astonishment, declaring that just one of these cans was worth a fortune and that together, the 2 bags must have over 100 cans. He then signaled to a guard, who nodded in understanding. The commander then inquired what they wanted in exchange. Ruo stated they would like zombie corpses, and cool jewels were also fine. Just then, the commander closed the door. Ruo asked why he was closing the door. The commander replied, telling them not to think too much, and that he simply wanted to discuss the price with them properly. The commander immediately ordered his underlings to attack Shuang and Ruo. Ruo, startled, ran back, calling out to Shuang and asking why he was just standing there. Shuang calmly responded by questioning if people in the apocalypse were always like this, stating that he only wanted to conduct business peacefully. Some of the commander's men reached him, but Shuang activated his extreme climbing skill. He thought about how this skill would boost his grip, allowing his fingers to stick easily to solid rocks, and how his legs would gain a massive boost for jumping and moving at incredible speeds. In mere seconds, he knocked out all of the commander's men. Ru'a, observing the swift action, thought to herself that Shuang was incredibly powerful. The commander, now terrified and beaten brutally by Shuang, pleaded that it was all a misunderstanding and begged Shuang to stop hitting him, admitting he was wrong. Shuang, looking exasperated, asked why the commander had forced him to do this, stating that he truly didn't like it. The commander, desperate, promised to supply Shuang with what he needed and to trade whatever Shuang wanted directly. Ru'a, incredulous, called Shuang an idiot, questioning how he could trust someone who had just tried to kill and rob them, and warned him to be careful as the commander might stab him in the back at any time. Shuang, however, replied that he would continue to trade supplies with the commander. He then explained that he had finally figured it out. In this apocalypse, they were surrounded by wolves in sheep's clothing, but if these individuals knew the consequences of having bad intentions, business would be much easier. The commander, clearly terrified, quickly affirmed that for masters like Shuang, they had nothing but respect and dared not harbor any bad thoughts. The commander then invited Shuang to follow him, promising to show him the supplies for exchange. He led them to the box containing the infected rod. Shuang looked at it dismissively, asking what it was, referring to it as a broken stick, and stating that it wasn't the supply he had requested. The commander, in a desperate attempt to justify it, admitted that he had spent every last penny on this stick and had no choice but to steal to make ends meet, explaining that life had been a real struggle for them. He then began to extol the stick's virtues, claiming it was quite unique, a rare and precious desert item that could greatly enhance damage, and was even said to be capable of defeating high-level foes. He challenged Shuang to pick it up and try it if he didn't believe him. Shuang pondered if it was truly that powerful. Just then, the commander inwardly gloated, thinking that a mere 5-second touch with bare hands would curse Shuang with corpse poison, ensuring his death and confirming Shuang was still too green for this. Shuang was about to grasp the stick but then hesitated and said, "Forget it. You try it first." The commander was shocked and asked what? Shuang reiterated, telling him there was no need for him to try it, and urged the commander to try it himself to see how powerful the stick was. The commander stammered, but Shuang, losing patience, asked what there was to hesitate about and again told him to try it. He then held the stick with a cloth, saying, "Take it," and threw it towards the commander. The commander, visibly panicked, refused, saying, "No, not." Shuang, his voice firm, repeated, "I say it again. Grab the stick with your hand." The commander dropped the stick and fell down. Shuang asked if he was scared already, stating that he knew what the stick was. He reminded the commander that he had given him another chance to cooperate, but he hadn't cherished it, and therefore, Shuang told him not to blame him for what was to come. Ru'a urged Shuang to kill him. Shuang grabbed the commander by his neck. The commander pleaded for his life. Shuang, remembering the girl who had been killed and seeing the commander crying to be spared, then recalled Chief Justice Qi's voice in his mind, asking how it felt to hold someone's life in his hands and if it felt good. Shuang let the commander go and walked back, telling Ru'a to gather their things as they were leaving. The commander was left coughing on the floor. Ru'a, astonished, asked why Shuang hadn't killed him, given that the commander had tried to kill them earlier. She then sarcastically suggested that Shuang didn't want to see him suffer too much, and questioned why he didn't just use poison or cut off his head, proposing that there were plenty of painless ways to kill him. Shuang, in a serious tone, told her to stop talking. He then grabbed the stick with the help of a cloth and stated that he would just take it, considering it compensation for the commander trying to kill him. Ru'a, internally, thought that Shuang was a coward, unable to even kill someone, and that his skill was useless, leading her to believe he couldn't protect her sister. Just then, the commander, still recovering, asked if Shuang could save their base. Ru'a scoffed, asking if he thought they were some kind of charity. The commander begged them to agree to help, promising that after it was done, they could take all the supplies from the base. He explained that they were at their end and if no one came to help them, the base would be destroyed sooner or later. Ru'a, still suspicious, accused him of trying to fool them again, asking if he truly wished to die. The commander vehemently denied it, explaining that to get a level 5 evolver to help them, they had sent countless supplies, but the evolvers still demanded more, leaving them no choice but to resort to robbery. The commander then urged them to follow him, promising that once they saw, they would understand. He led Shuang to a window and pointed outside, asking him to look at the pit and the bodies within it, stating that those were the people killed from their base in just one day. Shuang, shocked by the number, asked who was responsible. The commander explained that they lost dozens of people every day, and it wasn't due to outsiders but their own base leader. To prevent the spread of disease, they had to burn the bodies every day. He warned them that getting close would expose them to the stomach-churning smell of burned meat. Ruo exclaimed, questioning if their leader was crazy, stating that if he killed that many people every day, it wouldn't be long before everyone in their base was dead. The commander confirmed her statement, which was why he had decided to seize power and lock up the leader. Shuang asked if that was why he had spent so much money to find a level 5 evolver to help. The commander confirmed, but added that a single level 5 evolver was not enough. They needed at least 3 together because their leader was a level 7 evolver. On the other hand, the leader was seen killing his own members one after another, who didn't even have time to flinch before their deaths. The leader, acting like a psycho, declared that everyone must die. The commander, with his soldiers, declared that among everyone present, he couldn't see the presence of a third level 5 evolver. Another man, Captain Lee, questioned if the commander was trying to fool them. The commander vehemently denied it, asking them to listen to his explanation. He stated that while they might not have a level 5 evolver, he had brought an evolver who could transcend levels. The other person was shocked by this and asked if it was the commander himself, observing that he appeared to be a level 4 evolver. The commander pointed to a person and asked if he thought he could beat him. The man replied that he had the wrong person and that he was not a super evolver. He then clarified that he meant Shuang, whom the commander was indicating, and asserted that Shuang was very strong. Captain Lee, however, scoffed, questioning what a level 1 evolver could possibly do to defeat a level 5 evolver. Shuang calmly stated that he had indeed beaten one before. Captain Lee started laughing, calling it an absurd notion. He then told the commander that he had been fooled by Shuang, emphasizing that since the apocalypse, no one had been able to surpass level 3, and calling it a joke to think Shuang could surpass level 4. Shuang acknowledged that the last time he defeated a level 5 evolver was mostly due to luck, and he admitted he was unsure of his abilities to surpass levels, which was also why he had stayed behind to wait for them. He proposed a match, stating that if he lost, he would quit and produce the stick he had acquired, wearing gloves on his hand. He then offered to compensate them with 100 cans of food if he lost, asking for their thoughts. He was wearing toxin-blocking gloves made from a special fabric. The commander urged the two not to waste their energy prematurely and suggested they just forget about the match. But Captain Lee insisted that if Shuang couldn't prove he could surpass level 4, he was leaving. He emphasized the need for a team taking on a level 7 evolver to know each other well, stating he needed to know someone had his back before putting his life on the line. Shuang addressed Captain Lee, stating clearly that this was a competition, not an attempt to kill. Captain Lee acknowledged, assuring him he wouldn't kill recklessly. They began the match. Captain Lee attacked Shuang, but Shuang blocked the attack and mentally noted how incredibly strong that punch was, feeling his hand go numb, and how fast it was. As the punch was about to hit him, he realized he had to use his ultimate skill right off the bat. He dodged the attack, and Captain Lee exclaimed that Shuang, the little brat, had some moves, dodging all his punches like that, but reiterated that he was still far from surpassing level 4. Captain Lee attacked Shuang again, but Shuang dodged it, and the attack landed on the floor, shattering it. Shuang mentally cursed the shattered floor, thinking of all the level 5 monsters. Captain Lee then told him to stop running and take his punch, questioning the point of dodging. Shuang mentally retorted that if he took the punch, he'd be dead. Of course he was running. Just then, Captain Lee saw an opening. Shuang thought, "Watch me knock the wind out of you with one strike." He then poked Captain Lee with the rod, and it made a metallic clanking sound. Shuang asked Captain Lee how it felt, noting that he was hurt so much he couldn't speak. He then revealed this was his ultimate move, the bloodline, and proceeded to attack Captain Lee in the groin. Captain Lee asked Feng if the commander was already married. Feng Wu, standing nearby, reassured him not to worry. With Commander's ability to harden his body, Feng believed he could easily deflect the incoming attack. But Captain Lee warned that the staff used in the fight was laced with corpse poison. He questioned whether Commander's hardened body could resist such a toxin. The battle continued. The commander deflected Shuang's strike, leapt over him, and landed a solid punch on the side of his face. He declared Shuang defeated. He admitted Shuang's speed and accuracy were impressive for a level 1 evolver, and said that defeating mediocre level 3 or even low level 4 evolvers wasn't anything too surprising. However, throughout the fight, Shuang had relied solely on brute strength. The commander pointed out that he had no technique and advised the kid to go back home and train harder. With that, he called for his second brother, saying it was time to go. Captain Li tried to stop them, but the commander assured him that they had already taken the supplies. He promised they would get the job done and said they would return once Li found a real level 5 evolver. According to him, Shuang's skills were too weak. Against a true leader, he'd be dead meat. Suddenly, laughter echoed through the area. A man appeared, mocking them by agreeing that the kid was useless. He told Captain Li he should have called him instead. Shuang noticed the man picking up a stick. He recognized it. It was his stick, along with his gloves, but they had vanished. Before he could react, Captain Li turned to the man. The man looked at Shuang and remarked what a waste of a good weapon. He told the boy that he didn't know how to use it. Shuang stared at him in confusion and muttered that the man looked like a zombie. The man snapped back, asking what Shuang was staring at, and told him that he was a human. Shuang apologized, explaining that the way he spun his head so quickly had made him look like a corpse. Captain Li then called out, addressing the man as Brother Jun Mei. He asked if he had finally agreed to help. Jun Mei replied that he was there for the beautiful stick, not for them. He said he had been searching for it for a long time and had finally found it. He admired the stick closely, clearly fascinated. Shuang stepped forward and said that it was a gift from Captain Li. Jun Mei turned to Li and asked if it was true. Captain Li confirmed that he had bought the stick for Jun Mei, spending a lot of money on it, under the condition that Jun Mei would help them. Jun Mei grinned at Shuang and teased him before gladly accepting the weapon. Captain Li turned to Shuang and asked him to calm down. He explained that he had no other choice. But he offered an alternative. If Shuang agreed to stay and help them, he would find him an even better weapon after the mission was over. Shuang agreed to stay and help, but only on one condition. Captain Li asked him to name it. Shuang said that after the mission, all trade and exchange activities at their base must go through him. He wanted to be the exclusive supplier there. Captain Li hesitated and said that their base mostly traded medicine and food. He asked whether Shuang could supply that much all on his own. Shuang confidently replied that it was a small matter. He had plenty of stock. All he wanted in return was some useless gold, and they'd be even. Captain Li realized this would actually benefit them and agreed to the deal. Meanwhile, the commander and his brother were talking. The younger brother asked if he was okay. The commander said he was fine and told him not to worry. Later, in a different room, everyone gathered to discuss their plan. Captain Li expressed his gratitude to the group for agreeing to help. He said he would now explain the plan and encouraged everyone to propose changes if needed. To begin, he suggested they introduce themselves. The commander started. His name was Feng Wu, a level 5 evolver with a body-hardening ability that made him bulletproof. His brother was Feng Wen, also a level 5 evolver, with the power to freeze anything he touched. Jun Mei introduced himself as a level 5 evolver too, but he didn't reveal what his ability was. Then Shuang introduced himself, saying he was a level 1 evolver. Ruo, the only girl, introduced herself as a level 2 evolver. But she also whispered to Shuang, saying the introductions felt like a dating show. Shuang had no idea what to say and decided it was best not to ask. Jun Mei took over the discussion and started explaining the capture plan. Their target was the base leader, a level 7 evolver with the ability to liquefy his body. This made him extremely hard to capture. One wrong move and he would retaliate. The plan was to lure the leader into a hidden room. Jun Mei would release a special gas to paralyze his nerves. Meanwhile, Feng Wu, Shuang, and the two brothers would hold him off. Feng Wen would then freeze him in place using his powers. After that, they would activate a hidden mechanism to trap him inside a sealed chamber. Jun Mei laughed, saying that his special ability had finally been discovered. Feng Wu approved the plan and asked when they would execute it. Li added that they couldn't afford to lose more people. They agreed to carry out the mission the next day. The following day arrived. Captain Li personally led the base leader into a room. As soon as they were inside, the door closed behind them. The leader looked around and asked if Captain Li was planning to kill him. Just then, the leader attacked the commander, but the person with the body-hardening ability arrived and told the commander to fall back. The leader was poised for his attacks when Jun Mei struck him from behind with the stick, but his attack was blocked, and he was thrown away. He came straight towards Shuang and thanked him, calling him little brother, and acknowledging that Shuang had saved him, implying he wouldn't have survived otherwise. Shuang told him not to touch his face, having clearly saved Jun Mei. Then, the muscular person attacked the leader, but his attack didn't even reach him. Instead, the leader's attack pierced his defense. The muscular person exclaimed, "Impossible! It actually pierced my defense." The leader explained that high pressure combined with high-speed rotation could pierce through anything. Just then, the spectacled guy got closer and froze the water. The commander fell back, and all three of them were struggling to fight against the leader. Shuang grabbed the spectacled guy and ran away from the attack. Now, the muscular man, positioned behind the leader, told everyone to stop looking around and directed their attention to him. He attacked the leader, but the leader dodged his attack. He then said, "I scatter his form, now's the time." The spectacled guy recognized their chance and froze the leader's water form. Shuang asked if the leader was dead. The spectacled guy replied that he wasn't. To escape the freezing effect, he had dispersed himself. The commander ordered the guards to block the gap at the door, telling them not to let him escape. Everyone affirmed the order. However, the leader reappeared in his original form, surprising everyone. The commander exclaimed, "Oh no, he's about to use that move." He then shouted, "Shield swing. Everyone, get behind the shield wall." The commander released several slashes with water waves. Everyone was getting injured. Even the soldiers holding the shield were not spared, as the attacks went straight through their shields, injuring everyone. Finally, the attack was over. The muscular guy had also saved everyone behind him, telling them all to hide behind him. He explained that the more water jets there were, the weaker they would get, and he could handle the current pressure. The commander declared that they had made it through and that using this move would drain a lot of the leader's energy, keeping him in his liquid form for 10 seconds. He instructed Fang and Wen to go and freeze him. Wen told Shuang to send him over. Shuang understood and ran towards the leader with Wen. Wen used his ability to freeze the leader. After 10 seconds, he thought to himself that within these 10 seconds, he must completely freeze him. The leader was about to reform, but Wen was trying his best. Just as Wen was about to completely freeze the leader, the ice cracked slightly. Shuang exclaimed that it had worked, and Wen was visibly exhausted, his eyes beginning to crack. Wen then cried out that the leader was speeding up the water flow inside, causing the freezing effect to slow down. Just then, Jun Mei, the zombie-like man, arrived, reassuring them that he was there and the leader couldn't escape. He injected a certain kind of toxin into the ice, explaining that while the liquid inside the leader's body would attempt to disperse his toxin, its current state would make it very convenient. He stated that the toxin would make the leader sleep forever, and without Jun Mei's antidote, no one could save him. The commander, witnessing this, declared that it had worked and the leader was defeated. Later, they were all sitting in a room, celebrating their victory. The commander expressed his gratitude for their help, stating that their base had broken free from the leader's tyrannical rule. To show their appreciation, he announced they had prepared a variety of delicious food for them that night. Shuang privately acknowledged that the taste was actually not bad. Just then, the commander loudly proclaimed that good food and beautiful women go hand in hand, and called for the women to come out, describing them as either plump or slender. 2 ladies, followed by some others, came out. The commander then told them to take their pick. The spectacled guy made a selection, and Shuang also stated that they wouldn't hold back. The girls began feeding them, and one girl, quite close to Shuang, asked him if he was the hero of their base and if he was so young. Ruo, observing this, became very angry and muttered that all men were the same. When everyone was thoroughly drunk, the commander instructed his underlings to take them back to their rooms. In Shuang's room, 2 ladies accompanied him. One of them remarked how cute he was, noting that just a little drink had made him drunk. The other lady declared he was just her type and surmised he wasn't feeling too great, suggesting he needed a good cleaning up. In another room, the spectacled guy, Captain Li, was with a girl who was taking off his clothes. He commented that Captain Li truly understood women. The girl, slightly flustered, told him not to be so impatient. The scene then shifted to Jun Mei, the zombie-like man. He told 2 frightened girls that they looked good and were his type. He then reassured them not to be afraid, promising not to hurt them. Meanwhile, in the muscular man's room, he told the ladies to leave, stating that this is far enough, and that he was going to sleep. He then loudly closed the door in front of the 2 girls. Back in Shuang's room, one of the 2 girls commented that it felt like he would sleep until the morning. The other girl asked what they should do, noting that he was dead asleep and they couldn't serve him even if they wanted to. She reminded her companion that the captain had told them to take good care of him, so they decided to wipe his body and then leave. As they were wiping his body, one of the girls gasped. The second one asked what was wrong. The first one then remarked that she hadn't expected him to be so restless, even while asleep, as she put her hand on Shuang's privates. She then concluded that it looked like they wouldn't be going back tonight. As Shuang woke up, he shouted, asking who it was. Rua, teasing him, remarked that he must have had a lot of fun last night, noting that it was already noon and urging the pervert to wake up and get moving. Shuang, taken aback by her sudden change in attitude, mentioned that she had even called him Shuang at the beginning. Rua retorted that she had always been like this and questioned where he was even touching her, again calling him a pervert. Just then, the spectacled guy and the muscular one emerged. The spectacled guy groaned that his waist hurt and his legs still felt like jelly. The muscular guy asked Fong if he was all right. Fong replied that he was fine, very good indeed. The commander then arrived and asked if they were leaving so soon and couldn't stay a few more days. Captain Lee replied that they had another task to attend to and had to report back soon. Shuang stated that he had not yet delivered the supplies the base urgently needed and would go and get them now, expecting to deliver them in about 3 days. The guy who had taken Shuang's rod, Jun Mei, suggested that delivering goods was beneath Shuang's talents and invited him to join him, seeing great potential in Shuang. He offered to teach Shuang a faster way to level up, claiming his secret formula could break through bottlenecks faster. The spectacled guy, however, advised Shuang not to rush into it, questioning why Jun Mei was still at the bottleneck stage if he had such a secret recipe. He then asked Jun Mei about a young man who was with him last time, wondering where he was now and if Jun Mei had used him for alchemy. The muscular man then told Shuang to catch something and threw an item. Shuang asked what it was. The muscular man explained that it was a handy walkie-talkie, stating that their organization needed talents like Shuang. He added that if Shuang was willing to join them, he should dial the walkie-talkie, and he would tell him where they were. 3 days later, someone was running and excitedly announced to the commander that Shuang was back. The commander expressed surprise, questioning if he had gathered the supplies so quickly. The other person told him to come out and take a look, as the supplies Shuang had bought amounted to 3 truckloads. The commander emerged and marveled, admitting he had been drunk when he asked for the supplies, yet Shuang had still managed to bring them. And it had only taken 3 days. Shuang informed the commander that he had bought all the supplies he had asked for and invited him to check them out. The commander stated that they had moved everything and that he had never seen so many supplies before. A worker remarked that with these seeds and fertilizers, their base would be self-sufficient. One of the officers expressed his pleasure, stating that as long as they got a good harvest starting next year, no one at the base would be hungry. The commander then exclaimed, asking if Shuang was a god and where he had acquired so many high-quality supplies, calling it amazing. Shuang, downplaying the feat, stated that things like food and seeds were small matters and that they just needed to pay him the agreed reward, and they could get as much as they needed. The commander then presented the reward he had promised. Shuang, however, questioned why there was so little, reminding him that he had brought 3 truckloads of supplies and asking if he wanted him to do manual labor. Just then, the commander interjected, pointing out that it was a bag of dark crystals and asking if Shuang didn't know what it was, stating that it was much more valuable than the zombie core he had promised. As Shuang held the dark crystal in his hands, the system informed him that 1 dark crystal could charge hundreds of skill points. Shuang, amazed, remarked that such a small piece could charge 100 skill points, making it 50 times more effective than a zombie core, calling it truly amazing. The commander then reminded him that there was also the gold he had promised. He then admitted that they hadn't found much gold at their base and had searched the storage room but found very little. He presented what they had and asked if Shuang thought it was enough. Shuang looked at the gold and confirmed it was enough, thanking him profusely. Just then, Shuang reached Shuang's bed and breakfast and told Shuang and Rua that he needed to go out for a bit and would see them in a few days. Rua asked him to bring her some white rabbit candies, as she had finished all of them at home. Shuang then picked up a box and noted that it was much heavier than the last bag. He saw a graffiti on the lid and thought it didn't seem printed, wondering if they had used an old picture frame to make this lid. He then saw a signature and exclaimed, "Wow, a signature too, but is it in English? How to read this? Picasso?" He remarked on the strange name but found the drawing quite interesting. He then hung the painting on the wall, saying, "Let's hang it on the wall as decoration." Now, a person remarked that the Picasso painting was truly exquisite and that the 200 million he had spent was worth it. Another man informed him that Sir Zhao was meeting the blind date tonight. The man then told his uncle, Uncle Zhao, to keep an eye on Shuang and not let her cause any trouble. He then pondered what they should do about Shuang, as they still hadn't traced the source of the 20 kilograms of gold he had exchanged at their bank last time. He suggested that if they reported him to the police and had him arrested, the matter with Shuang would be settled. Uncle Zhao, however, stated that there was no need to call the police, as he had authorized the bank to make the exchange. He noted that the kid had some serious connections to get that much gold in such a short time, and since his factory urgently needed gold, they should keep him around for a bit. However, he firmly stated that there was no way Shuang could be with him, as his son-in-law must be someone capable. The man sitting across from the landlady on her blind date appeared polite and concerned as he asked whether the restaurant suited her taste. The landlady replied that it was fine. The man then said her father had told him she had been staying at home a lot and offered to take her to his family's island for a few days, describing the scenery as beautiful. The landlady refused flatly, saying she wasn't interested. When he asked about her favorite travel destination, mentioning that he had visited many countries due to work, she replied that she didn't feel like going anywhere. She then decided to speak honestly, telling him that her father had forced her into this meeting and she had no intention of continuing any contact. She pointed out that he was known as a playboy in their social circle and asked him to stop pretending to be gentle and sincere. Since the meal was over, she suggested they not waste any more time and told him goodbye. The man, surprised, muttered that she was ungrateful. The landlady returned home and found her father already waiting. He said he had heard about the dinner. With clear frustration, she asked why he was there. Her father, sounding hurt, said that even after all this time, she still refused to call him Dad. She stood firm, saying that if he had nothing important to say, he should leave. She reminded him that it was her house, and warned that if he came again without permission, she would call the police. He warned her that if she kept resisting, she would scare away all the suitors from big families, which would make things difficult for him. She responded by accusing him of treating her like a tool for his own benefit. She firmly said that she loved someone else. Her father dismissed her feelings, saying the man she loved was too ordinary and couldn't make her happy. He added that he would never hand over the family business to someone like that. He reminded her that he would die eventually and needed a capable heir. The landlady asked how he was so sure she wasn't capable and reminded him that he was just an ordinary person when he was young too. She made it clear she didn't care who inherited the family business. What mattered was who she chose to marry. His tone turned cold. He said he was willing to let Shuang die if she didn't listen. He reminded her of his earlier threat, that if she refused to obey, he would make Shuang disappear. He told her to be a good daughter and think about her future. The landlady, her voice bitter, accused him of trying to drive her to her death, just like he had done with her mother. She questioned if that was his real goal, if he wanted her to hang herself too. Enraged, her father told her to shut up. She replied defiantly that he had been the one to drive her mother insane. He then lost his temper and slapped her. She stared back at him with rage. Later, in Shuang's room, he remembered that tomorrow's order list needed to be updated and added White Rabbit creamy candy to it. Just then, the doorbell rang. When he opened it, he found the landlady standing there. Surprised, he asked why she had come so late. She asked why he hadn't answered her calls and said she had been planning to visit him the next day. The landlady looked troubled and tried to speak, but Shuang gently told her not to worry. He said it wouldn't take him a whole year to earn enough money, and once he did, her father would surely allow them to be together. Suddenly, the landlady kissed him and began taking off her t-shirt. Shuang noticed her strange expression and asked her to wait, sensing that something had happened. He wondered if it was because of her father. But the landlady told him to forget everything else and just focus on her. Shuang hesitated, but she insisted, saying she had missed him so much in just a few days. She asked him to hold her tightly, and then she wrapped her arms around him. Shuang, filled with hope, believed this would be the night he lost his virginity to the woman he loved most. The landlady asked him to help unzip her dress, and Shuang did so. She thanked him and lay down on the bed. Shuang thought to himself that her looks and figure were exceptional, and she was gentle and kind too. The landlady, with a shy expression, admitted that she was a beginner as well and asked him to be gentle. Shuang reassured her, and they both removed their clothes. Spending the night together in intimacy in the morning, Shuang reflected on how his life had never been fulfilling for over 20 years. But now everything had changed, because he had her. He thought she was the kindest person in his life and felt lucky that someone like her liked someone as ordinary as him. He promised himself that he would protect her and make her happy. But when he woke up, he found a letter beside him. Confused, he wondered if it was meant for him. It was a note the landlady had written before leaving. In the letter, she told him that she was going to a faraway place but couldn't reveal the location. She explained that she needed to escape her father's control and didn't want Shuang to be harmed because of her. She said they had to separate for now but insisted that she wouldn't abandon the one she loved. She promised to return once she had become strong enough to defeat her father. She also mentioned their first movie from the night before, calling it unforgettable. She asked him not to be unfaithful and to wait for her return. Then, Shuang was back in the apocalyptic world, clearly depressed. Xiao noticed something was wrong and asked why he looked so down. Ruo also asked if he hadn't found any supplies. Shuang told them he had bought some food, and with what they had left, it should last a few months. He said he wouldn't be returning for a while and asked them to take care. Ruo asked if he wasn't planning to trade with the merchants anymore, since he had seemed in a rush to exchange gold before. Shuang, heartbroken, said he didn't care anymore. Even gold felt useless now. Xiao and Ruo were shocked by how broken he looked. Xiao realized that Shuang must have had a girlfriend. Ruo bluntly said she hadn't expected that from him. Shuang explained that they hadn't even officially started dating before she left. He lamented that she hadn't even said goodbye, and she had cancelled her phone number. He had no way to find her and said she had disappeared by Jason. Ruo interrupted and told him to calm down. She said it was just a breakup and told him to move on, saying he wasn't acting like a man. Shuang fired back that someone her age wouldn't understand how he felt. He said he had just broken up and wasn't in the mood to look for another girl. Ruo, smirking, asked if he really wasn't in the mood. She then made him touch her breasts, saying that all men were the same and maybe it would make him feel better since he had brought her candy. Shuang, surprised, admitted that the feeling was satisfying. He noted that although her face was ordinary, her body was very well developed. He reached out and grabbed both her breasts. Ruo, startled, dropped the bread she had been holding. She thought about Shuang's earlier claim of not being in the mood. She then said, "Time's up," and moved his hands away. Shuang, disappointed, asked if it was over already. Ruo questioned what he meant, pointing out that it had already been almost a minute. Shuang said that just a minute wasn't enough to cheer him up and asked for one more minute, hinting that it still felt too little. Then he asked if he could switch to another part. Ruo asked where. Shuang pointed at her butt. Ruo was shocked by the scene, but Shuang had moved behind Xiao and touched her butt. Xiao, experiencing a surge of sensation, asked Shuang if he was okay now. Shuang replied that it had only been 30 seconds, not even a minute yet. Xiao urged Shuang to be gentle. Ruo, observing them, remarked that this scene couldn't be broadcast. Meanwhile, at the commander's location, a person questioned Captain Li, asking if they truly had to proceed with their plan. He expressed concern that the risk of unfreezing Yi to attack the dark energy was too high, warning that if he woke up during the unfreezing process, the consequences would be unimaginable. The commander explained that their base had remained safe from surrounding bases due to Ye's reputation. Now that others knew he had been sealed, if they didn't extract his energy for their own use, their joy base would eventually be overrun by wild dogs. He emphasized that they couldn't delay any longer and instructed the person to go get Jun Mei and tell him he was ready. The person affirmed the order. Just then, the commander approached the leader, Yi, and confessed that although he didn't know what Yi had encountered at the western end that had driven him mad, Yi had gone mad at just the right time for the commander's plans. He criticized Yi for refusing to expand their territory for so many years, leading to stagnation, and asserted that Ye's strength could have easily terminated all surrounding forces. He declared that Ye's indecisiveness made him unfit to be a leader and stated his intention to take Ye's power to rule the land. Just then, the scene shifted back to Shuang, who was still touching Zhao's butt. Xiao told Shuang that time's up. He then heard a beep. Ruo asked what that sound was. Shuang replied that it was the walkie-talkie Fong had given him earlier. Ruo advised him not to answer it yet, warning that if he did, they might track them and expose the base's location. Shuang agreed and, in a flash, went outside to a distant location. He stopped at the top of a building and declared that this was far enough. He then answered the walkie-talkie, saying, "Hello, is this Fong?" and apologizing for not having decided about joining their organization yet. The man on the other end, Fong, stated that he wasn't calling about that and needed Shuang's help with something. He promised to compensate Shuang accordingly. He explained that they had a problem. A batch of their supplies was trapped by a horde of zombies. He added that there were also a dozen ordinary people inside and urged Shuang to hurry over as soon as possible. He instructed Shuang to meet them at the intersection of Street A and Street B in the east of the city. Shuang confirmed the location, noting that the east of the city was over there. At the location, ordinary people were begging for mercy, pleading for someone to save them, expressing their terror of dying. Just then, a person reassured them, saying not to worry, as the base had already sent someone to rescue them and everything would be fine. Shuang was running towards the location and exclaimed, "Oh no, almost didn't stop." He then asked if this was the intersection and questioned why there was no one there. Just then, someone arrived and kicked him. It was a muscular lady. She remarked that the kid they had found was way too reckless. The spectacled guy, when addressed her as Sister Shi, and advised her not to write him off as a rookie, stating that Shuang could be very useful when it came to it, and that they had a good eye for people. The muscular lady responded skeptically, "Oh, really? We'll see if he's up to the task soon enough." She then instructed him to follow them. And with their newly acquired supplies, they were making their way back, and the truck driver remarked to Chief Fu that they had truly struck gold this time, never expecting to find such an abundance of medical provisions. He felt certain the city would be extremely pleased upon their return, especially since Kiki's passing had left the position of Chief Justice vacant. The driver then wondered aloud if Chief Fu believed he would be given the position upon their return. Chief Fu responded that he was simply doing his job and not dwelling on such thoughts. Just then, the trucks came to an abrupt halt. The captain inquired about the problem, and they realized they were confronted by red zombies. An order was given for everyone to shoot, but they found themselves unable to hit the targets as the zombies skillfully dodged all their attacks. The driver then activated his ability, causing his hands to extend considerably, and with them, he seized 2 of the zombies. He then declared that they could no longer dodge and ordered everyone to shoot them. The zombies were instantly shot dead. The driver expressed his relief that they were finally deceased, acknowledging their good fortune in having the vice captain. A zombie then inflicted damage on one of the F-10 cars. The captain assured them it was no problem and suggested they transfer the goods from that car to the others to create some space. He urged everyone to hurry, emphasizing their need to reach the Earth Alliance by tomorrow night. At that moment, a person on top of a building, observing through binoculars, reported seeing many more zombies, approximately 800 meters away and heading towards them. The captain quickly ordered everyone to load the medical supplies onto the car and depart. However, someone pointed out that there were still fuel tanks on the other car. The captain insisted there was no time to waste, stating that they would undoubtedly perish if they crashed into the horde, and that they would worry about the gas later. He then commanded everyone to get into the car immediately. Later, the driver informed the captain that they were almost out of gas. The captain decided they should stop the car, and they found themselves in the middle of the road. The captain then asked how far the car with the remaining fuel could travel. The driver estimated about 10 kilometers, while another driver reported theirs could go approximately 3 kilometers. They were still 30 kilometers away from Earth Airlines. The captain acknowledged that everyone had been working tirelessly for days and nights but stressed that they could not afford to slack off now. He reiterated their 30-kilometer distance from the airlines and the absolute necessity of finding gasoline. He suggested there should be gasoline about 5 kilometers in another direction and proposed they divide and conquer. He instructed the vice captain to take a small squad to collect fuel, while he would take the goods. He told the vice captain to retrace their steps once they had found the fuel and then follow them. The vice captain confirmed his understanding, and they divided their groups. They then began extracting fuel from various other vehicles. Just as the vice captain declared that the collected gasoline should be sufficient and turned to suggest they depart to catch up with the main group, he witnessed 2 red zombies devouring 2 of their members, leaving only 3 of them. The vice captain shouted for them to run, but the others exclaimed it was too late. One of them had already been bitten to death. The captain then ordered them to run upstairs and not to shoot, warning that firing would attract more zombies. He stated that he would cover the rear. The vice captain then used bullets to repel the zombies. Everyone lamented that there were so many zombies and that escape without shooting seemed impossible. They were now out of bullets. They found themselves inside a building, where the vice captain assured them that the zombies should not be able to enter for the time being and urged everyone to take a break. Just then, the zombies outside began growling and banging on the door. The vice captain and his squad sat there, praying for someone to rescue them from the terrifying zombies. The vice captain then reassured them that the base had already sent someone to rescue them and that everything would be fine. The scene then shifted to Shuang and the other team. Shuang instructed Rock and Head that their task was to draw most of the horde towards the south. She then told Sanguine to divert a small portion of the horde to the west. Shuang inquired about his own role, and the captain told him to come along, explaining that once the horde scattered, they would go in and rescue the others. Shuang confirmed his understanding, and they adhered to the plan, moving out. Just then, a sound emanated from a car speaker. A voice began singing that the boundless horizon was its one and only love. The zombies were attracted to the sound. The speaker continued, describing flowers blooming vibrantly under lush green hills and urging sweethearts to keep the music going and dance. It asked what kind of rhythm got them moving and brewing the most, and which melody filled their hearts with the most delight. The captain and Shuang were standing on top of a building. The captain announced that the horde had been diverted and suggested they go and rescue them now. However, there were still too many zombies there. Shuang asked why there were so many zombies in that location. The captain explained that some zombies were deaf and stated that he would hold off the zombies while Shuang went and saved the trapped individuals. Shuang opened the shutter and confirmed her understanding. She then called out to the people inside, assuring them they were safe and that she was there to save them, instructing them to open the door. The door opened, and a single person walked out. Shuang expressed surprise, recalling that the captain had mentioned a dozen people. The captain also noticed this, and Shuang's father inquired why he was the only one. On a rooftop, the team members had gathered. The spectacular man remarked on their narrow escape, noting they had almost not made it back. Seeing Shuang with the rescued man, he questioned why there was only one person and where the others were. The rescued man explained that during the transport of supplies the previous night, they had been ambushed by base personnel. He stated that everyone in the search team, except for him, had been killed while foraging. He added that they had stumbled into a zombie horde and barely escaped death. The spectacular man expressed his surprise, stating that the rescued man was the only one who had called for help and that there were no supplies at all. He indicated that had they known sooner, they would not have mobilized so many people. They could have simply sent Hat alone to rescue him. The rescued man then revealed that they had also sent a small team 5 miles away to look for gasoline, but they too had become trapped by zombies, and he was hoping their current rescuers could help them. The spectacular man then mentioned that yesterday, Lord had only paid for 1 rescue mission and 1 patient supply, and that another rescue would incur extra costs. The rescued man pleaded, emphasizing that it was an emergency and that if no one helped them, they would surely die. He begged them, offering to cover all necessary costs from his own pocket. Shuang then interjected, declaring that he would undertake the rescue mission. The spectacular man, shocked, asked what Shuang was talking about, reminding him that they had not agreed to this. Shuang then addressed Fong Wu, reminding him of his promise to pay him and stating that this was what he wanted to do, rescue them. The spectacular man then called Shuang little and expressed his confusion about whether Shuang was smart or good for nothing, questioning how his reward could possibly cover the costs. However, the leader interjected, indicating his understanding and stating that they would go save them. Shuang remained silent. The spectacular man then asked the leader why he had agreed, highlighting that each rescue mission was fraught with peril and questioning if the leader understood how dangerous it would be. Just then, they looked up and saw red zombies surrounding them, prompting them to wonder why there were so many. One of the red zombies leaped towards them, but the muscular girl caught it and smashed its head with her arms, splattering blood all over her face. Other red zombies then attacked their team. Fong Wu observed that although red zombies usually appeared in groups, it was truly strange for so many to show up at once. The leader instructed everyone not to waste energy and to run to the car. As they ran, each of them attacked the zombies. Shuang then seized a zombie by the neck and declared they couldn't go down, as their car was surrounded by zombies. He looked down the road and wondered how this could be, questioning if the zombies hadn't been lured away. The lady stated that they were back and that there seemed to be several times more than before. The leader advised them not to panic, assuring them that low-level zombies couldn't get up to their current height and that they should still deal with the red zombies first. Shuang finally killed that zombie and declared it was over. The lady confirmed that they were all dead. The lady then stated that next, they just needed to figure out how to escape the sea of zombies downstairs. Just then, the zombies began climbing up. Shuang observed this and remarked that zombies were climbing up, even stating that he had seen them before and identifying them as giant monsters, a detail he hadn't initially grasped. They were at the top and expressed disbelief, questioning how giant zombies could appear in groups, as they had never witnessed such a phenomenon before. Fong Wu despaired, proclaiming that they were doomed and truly finished this time. The leader stated there were 6 of them in total. The lady noted the usual ambush by level 3 red zombies, followed by the zombies surrounding them again, and now the appearance of so many level 3 giant zombies at the same time. She explained that normally this level of zombie wouldn't be able to harm them, but now it felt like a war of attrition, wearing them down bit by bit while trapping them. The rescued man began to comment on the situation with these zombies. The leader continued his thought, stating that the zombies possessed intelligence and had planned an attack to surround and trap the enemy, just like an army. Another team member suggested that in this situation, there seemed to be only one option. Shuang inquired what that was. Just then, Shuang pointed and asked if there was something piled around the building. Something was swirling around the building. The teammate with a hat exclaimed that this was bad and identified it as a very giant zombie monster, indicating it was made up of several zombies. It was identified as a level 3 zombie king, and some others urged them to run, believing they still had time. The leader, however, stated that it was a level 3 zombie king and not yet close, so they should quickly get out of there. Yun was the one who made that suggestion. Just then, a giant zombie appeared there, and the spectacular boy dodged its attack, exclaiming that it was too fast. The lady then appeared, telling them to leave and that she would handle the zombie. They were then surrounded by a group of giant zombies. The team declared that they were all climbing up and that there was no way they would leave her alone. The Fong then further suggested that Shuang's ability should allow him to jump to the opposite building, and he urged Shuang to quickly take them over there, explaining that it would allow them to avoid these giant monsters. Shuang believed he could, but only with one person at a time, otherwise it would be too heavy. He then asked who wanted to go first. The person they had rescued said he would rely on Shuang and suggested they go ahead. Shuang agreed and told the person to hold on tight. He held the person, charged up his power, and leaped off the building. Just then, the Zombie King unleashed a sonic attack on the team, producing an extremely loud noise. Another man wondered about the sound, complaining that his head hurt. Shuang realized that his skills were unusable. A giant zombie then attacked them, injuring each member of the team, including Shuang. Shuang thought to himself that everyone's powers were unusable, and this wouldn't do, they needed to think of something quickly. He then remembered the Doom Mullet system and tried to activate it, but the system reported that it was out of range, beyond the Doom Mullet's firing range. Shuang pointed a gun. Just then, a zombie bit the leader's hand, and the lady shouted his name. Shuang realized there was only one option left. He accessed the system and instructed it to use all his dark crystals and zombie cores to upgrade. The system warned that the upgrade might result in failure, even when using upscale points, and asked if he wished to proceed. Shuang vehemently told it to stop talking and to upgrade everything immediately, consuming all zombie cores and dark crystals. The system began upgrading and his stats became full. The evolution was successful and he was now a second-tier evolver. Evolution didn't stop, and the giant zombies continued their attack. His evolution failed several times, but then he reached a third evolution level. After that, his stats were full, but the evolution still failed. The lady then stated that she didn't need the leader to protect her, indicating that it was the leader who was protecting him from the giant zombies. Shuang became frustrated as his evolution continued to fail. He shouted at the system to hurry up. Just then, he became a level 4 evolver and gained a new skill called Clear Mind. This skill granted him unwavering concentration, like the stillness of water, with a significant boost to focus. He then thought about Clear Mind, and noticed that after using it, the Zombie King's noise had indeed reduced significantly. He further reflected that his mind was calmer than before and that he now seemed to understand how to control his energy-gathering ability, which he hadn't known how to use previously. The spectacular boy then cried for help, stating he didn't want to die and wanted to date more. He was about to be eaten by a giant zombie and thought to himself, "Goodbye, cruel world. I hope in my next life, I won't be reborn into this type of apocalypse. I'd love to experience a life where I don't have to worry about dying every day and being able to eat his fill every day and do what he loves. What would be such a happy life?" Just as the Fong was about to be eaten, he disappeared from the zombie's hand. Another guy was about to be eaten, but the zombie's hand that was about to consume him had its head chopped off, and they were saved. The Fong expressed his surprise, asking what was going on since he hadn't died. The other guy remarked that it was a good thing his head was tough. They both then asked if Shuang had saved them. The Zombie King was now quiet. It had stopped emitting all the noise it had made before. Its eyes glowed, and it lifted a hand, pointing a finger towards Shuang. Just as the Zombie King pointed its finger towards him, the other zombies in the line of its finger began to evolve. They grew wings and started jumping higher. Shuang wondered how these ordinary zombies could suddenly jump higher and noted their increased speed. It was the Zombie King's third ability, Rampage. The zombies were climbing upwards. The lady cautioned everyone to be careful and get ready to fight, as too many zombies were approaching. The Fong expressed confusion, remarking that the zombies weren't even paying attention to them, they just went right past. All the zombies showed no reaction to their presence and went straight toward Shuang. Shuang, feeling confident and with a calm mind, observed the approaching zombies. All the zombies surrounded him, and he found himself enveloped within a swarm of zombies that covered them completely. The Fong shouted Shuang's name. Just then, an energy surge erupted from within the zombies, and they all perished. Shuang exclaimed that it was a close call, admitting he thought he was going to die with so many zombies coming at him all at once, and that he almost couldn't use any powers out of fear. The Fong remarked that all the zombies were taken down with one move and asked Shuang when he had become so strong, noting that the explosion just now wasn't his super speed ability. The leader mentioned he had noticed it earlier and asked Shuang if he was a level 4 evolver now. Shuang confirmed this, adding that besides his special ability of super speed, the explosion was just a skill assigned to him by the system. His true special ability was energy gathering. The Fong questioned how it was possible for Shuang to be level 4, recalling that not long ago he was only a level 1 evolver, and implied that Shuang had been concealing his true strength all along. Shuang dismissed further discussion of that topic, urging them to run while he held off the zombie king. The lady inquired if he could handle it alone and suggested they stay and help him. Shuang explained that if they stayed, he would be distracted worrying about their safety. He assured them not to worry about him, as he had a top-secret escape plan and definitely wouldn't die. He privately thought that if things got truly bad, he would simply use his scale points to perform a two-dimensional shift. The team said nothing. Shuang continued, stating that their staying would only hold him back and that they should leave now. Just then, Shuang thought to himself that it had been 2 hours, but the zombies simply wouldn't stop coming. He considered himself lucky that his stamina had increased significantly compared to before, so he wasn't exhausted from all the fighting. He further reasoned that Feng Wu and the others should be far enough away by now. He admitted to wasting his energy on a prolonged fight to stall these minions and prevent them from pursuing Feng Wu's group. He decided it was time to get serious. He pointed his finger towards the level 3 zombie king and declared that it was controlling those weak zombies just to get at him, questioning if it disliked him that much. He challenged it to send all the low-level zombies it wanted, asserting that he wouldn't die and that the zombie king would have to do it itself. He dared it to try and kill him, suggesting they see who was stronger. The zombie king charged towards him. Shuang thought, just as he suspected, that the creature could understand him and that it was now angry. The zombie king then attacked the building. Shuang leaped off that building and remarked on the building being knocked down with one hit, noting that if he hadn't dodged, it wouldn't have been fun at all. The zombie king continued to attack him. Shuang dodged the attacks, exclaiming that it was exciting and that this creature was truly fast. He observed that this kind of monster was only a level 3 juvenile and speculated that if it evolved further, even gods wouldn't be able to defeat it. He realized he needed to quickly nip this king slapping in the bud. He charged his power and further recalled that when fighting the mad leader before, he had concentrated the liquid to simulate a water blade, and even Feng could not block its damage. He considered adding his water-still water skill focus and pushed it to the limit. He then executed his own attack, releasing energy in the form of a slash against the zombie, which roared. Shuang confirmed that it worked. In another location, the commander stood in front of a capsule, and a zombie-like person was positioned above it. The zombie-like person stated that he had poured all of his exclusive extraction liquid into it and that in 3 days, its dark energy would be extracted. The commander inquired if that was all it took. The man assured him not to worry, stating that he had successfully done this several times before, though it was his first time extracting from a high-level one. He reaffirmed that 3 days would suffice and urged patience, promising to transfer all of its dark energy into the commander's body in 3 days. The commander was quite excited to hear this. 2 cars raced down the road, speeding away from the chaos. In one of them, a man turned on his walkie-talkie. It was the team leader checking in. Shuang's voice came through, asking how things were going. The leader responded that their rescue mission was a success. They had saved everyone. Apparently, the zombie king had sent most of the undead to attack Shuang's side, so by the time they reached the rescue site, there were no zombies left. Shuang admitted he'd been worried they might be hurt, but was surprised the team had rescued everyone so quickly. The guy with glasses, known for being calm, told him not to worry about their injuries. He even pointed out how Shuang was carrying a load of medical supplies like a walking pharmacy. The poison, he added, was almost fully neutralized now. The leader shifted the focus, asking how things were going on Shuang's side. But before Shuang could answer, the spectacle guy cut in, saying if Shuang had time to chat, it clearly meant everything was already handled. And he was right. Right in front of Shuang, the zombie king lay dead. Then Shuang's father confirmed it. Everything was fine on his end too. He suggested they all find a place to meet up. He was holding the zombie king's corpse, and surprisingly, this one had a massive value, 10,000 rechargeable skill points. Shuang, still in shock, thought to himself how he had just run out of skill points and had been looking for new zombie cores to recharge. He hadn't expected this one to be such a jackpot. But the moment of victory didn't last. His body finally gave in. Completely exhausted, he collapsed. His energy was gone, and now he was in a deep, comatose state. Meanwhile, in one of the rescue vehicles, a lady grew suspicious. She asked where they were being taken. Wasn't the Great Earth Alliance in the opposite direction? The driver calmly explained that this was a special route used for transporting living supplies. It was longer, but safer, with fewer zombies along the way. Unbeknownst to them, a group of armed enemies was watching from the shadows. They had a rocket launcher aimed directly at the team's vehicle. One man whispered that they'd finally arrived, then launched the bazooka. The explosion hit the front of the car. Then he fired again at the second vehicle. The blasts hit hard. Inside, team members were thrown around and injured. They stumbled out, coughing and dazed. One of the injured men grumbled that burns weren't the problem, but the explosion fragments were brutal. He shouted that his own allies were about to blow him up too. The man who fired the bazooka stepped forward, apologizing quickly. He said they had no other choice. Capturing all 4 people at once was just too hard. Hitting them in one strike saved them from a drawn-out fight. He added that catching them wouldn't have been possible without the help they'd received. Then he ordered the group to head back to Camp 17. Back where Shuang had collapsed, 2 girls arrived and spotted him lying there. One of them asked if he was sleeping and wondered if he'd actually taken down a level 3 zombie king on his own. The other girl thought it was way too dangerous to leave him like that and said they should take him back immediately. Just then, one of them pinched him. Shuang woke up, grumbling about not even being allowed to sleep in peace. As he looked up, he saw the 2 girls running away. Confused, he sat up and wondered aloud where he was. Upon waking, he exclaimed that he had actually slept for 10 days, finding it quite excessive. He immediately wondered about Feng Wu and the others, feeling an urgent need to contact them. Just then, a girl arrived and informed him that they had already confiscated the walkie-talkie, explaining that communication devices were not permitted inside the base. Shuang requested the walkie-talkie, stating he would contact them after leaving the base. The girl then questioned his manners, asking if that was how he treated his lifesaver and if he truly lived like this. Shuang apologized profusely, admitting he had completely forgotten and assuring her that he would properly reciprocate her life-saving kindness. He inquired if she needed any supplies, offering to send as much as she needed, even suggesting a truckload of food. The girl, while appreciating his generosity, explained that what they needed most right now wasn't supplies but strong individuals like him. She revealed that their association actually had a favor to ask him and inquired if he would agree to help them. Shuang readily assented, telling her to just name it, but stipulated that he first needed to inform his friends of his safety, as he was afraid they would worry. The girl agreed, saying someone would accompany him out of the base, and he could then use the walkie-talkie to reach his friends. Shuang then tried the walkie-talkie outside, but no one answered. The other girl suggested that perhaps they had switched walkie-talkies or hadn't brought them along. She then urged him to head back to the association first, as the leader was still waiting for them. Shuang thought to himself that it looked like he wouldn't be able to leave anytime soon. He then pondered where they were taking him, questioning if they weren't supposed to meet the leader in the association. The lady accompanying him explained that she had actually wanted to say this earlier, before meeting the leaders. Shouldn't he clean himself up a bit? She noted that he hadn't showered in over 10 days and the smell was quite strong. Shuang, surprised, asked if that was so and apologized. She handed him some clothes and instructed him to take a bath first, indicating that the bathhouse was to the left. She added that she would wait for him there until he was done. Shuang went inside and smelled his t-shirt, wondering if it really smelled that bad, as he couldn't smell anything himself. Just then, a lady in front of him began taking off her clothes. Shuang realized it was a girl. The girl saw him, and Shuang quickly apologized, explaining he had gone to the wrong place. He then scurried to the next room and showered, thinking to himself that bathing was his thing and it left his skin super smooth. He then sat inside the bathtub, contemplating the many things that had happened so suddenly, so much so that he hadn't even had time to think about his heartbreak. He decided he needed to keep himself busy right now, focusing on strengthening himself as the way to go. He reasoned that if he helped the climbers at this time, he might gain another trading partner. Just then, the ladies bathing nearby remarked that what he had said was true, truly hilarious, and suggested they watch over there. They were moving about, seemingly unconcerned by Shuang's presence. Shuang wondered what was going on and why there were only women. Just then, the lady who had spoken first walked past him. Shuang thought she hadn't seen him, or rather, hadn't noticed him. She walked past him, and he realized no one had noticed him. He pondered if he should sneak out. Just then, a lady sat down and exclaimed that the water was so hot, then immediately contradicted herself, saying it wasn't hot at all. Another girl told her to stop waddling, take off the towel, and get in the water. The first lady told her not to pull her. Shuang thought to himself that this was his chance to leave. Someone then shouted, "Team members, look over here, everyone." A woman announced that the mission's success was thanks to regular training and that the courage to keep climbing would make them increasingly powerful. She then declared that since they were all honest with each other while bathing, she proposed they have a naked fight to see how well they could defend themselves without any preparation. Everyone in the pool was shocked, including Shuang, who found himself surrounded by naked women bathing all around him. Just then, a loud bang echoed from the door, and they realized their escape route was sealed. The lady overseeing the situation announced that the door was locked and, with the key hanging from her neck between her breasts, declared that only the final winner would get it. She further explained that whoever remained standing last could leave. She then gave them 3 minutes to find a partner. One girl immediately spoke up, offering to team up with the captain, while another retorted, asking what she was doing and claiming she had been there first. Others also quickly sought out their friends, beginning to strategize for the impending fight. When the 3 minutes were up, everyone had found a partner. A lady began to cry, lamenting that she hadn't found anyone. She explained that their team had an odd number and everyone considered her too weak, unwilling to team up with her. She then exposed herself to everyone. She then pleaded with the captain if she could be excused from participating. The captain, however, pointed out that there was still someone else left alone in the corner. She identified the individual standing there and instructed them to come out and team up with the crying lady. It was Shuang, who turned around, seemingly possessing large breasts and a prominent derriere. He inquired if he was being called. Everyone wondered who she was. One person noted that she wasn't part of a team. The captain then called out, inviting the lady to join them to even out the numbers. Shuang, still acting as a lady, agreed. The captain reminded everyone that no special abilities were allowed during the duel, and with that, the duel commenced. All of them began fighting each other. Two rivals, who had a long-standing animosity, confronted each other. Shuang, sitting with his partner, wondered why no one was challenging them. His partner suggested that others must consider them the weakest and therefore would deal with them last. The two girls were engaged in a fierce fight, with one holding the other tightly. Hao spoke up, declaring that she gave up. The one who was with the commander remarked that the captain was incredibly strong and expressed satisfaction at being on her team. By this point, almost everyone was down. The captain then stated that only 3 groups remained and asked the vice captain which group she wanted to fight. The vice captain responded that it was obvious. The captain then challenged her to bring it, and the fight between them erupted. Just as the vice captain was about to attack the captain from behind, the captain blocked the attack and then counterattacked the vice captain, seizing her hands and throwing her down. However, the vice captain proved to be very skilled, managing not to fall and balancing herself on her legs. Shuang observed this, thinking it was impressive, and their fight continued. The vice captain attempted to put the captain in a chokehold. Just then, everyone shouted the captain's name. The captain then conceded, stating that she had lost and that if the vice captain had gone all out just now, she would have definitely passed out. She acknowledged that the vice captain had grown stronger. The commander then announced that only 2 people were left, and if the vice captain could defeat them, she would be the final winner. Shuang was standing there, seemingly holding his testicles in his upper hand. The other lady stated that she couldn't do it and asked Tushan to go first. Shuang announced his forfeiture. The girl with him expressed surprise, noting he gave up before even fighting. Shuang replied that he wouldn't fight, claiming he didn't know how, while inwardly thinking that fighting would expose him. The other lady then declared she would go alone. She challenged the vice captain, stating she had learned many new moves recently. However, after only a few seconds, she was lying on the floor, softly crying and accusing the vice captain of bullying. The vice captain then picked up the key from the floor and told the crying lady that she needed to practice more. She opened the door, and everyone was overjoyed that they could finally leave. Some of them expressed their hunger after the fight, and suggested they go eat. The vice captain then confronted the captain, asking if she had intentionally let her win. The captain feigned ignorance, questioning what the vice captain was talking about and denying she had let her win. She acknowledged the vice captain had grown stronger but still lacked confidence, adding that everyone had high hopes for her. Shuang thought to himself that he would let them leave first, and then he would follow. The other girl then complained that it hurts so much. Just then she noticed a loose thread on Shuang's towel. She pulled the thread, and the towel fell off. Shuang shouted in surprise. The lady was utterly shocked to discover Shuang was a boy and immediately shouted for the captain. However, Shuang quickly pulled her aside. The captain looked back, wondering who had called her name. The vice captain dismissed it, suggesting they see about Shuang. Shuang ordered the lady to be quiet. The lady became furious, shouting at him not to tell her to be quiet and to listen to her, explaining that she hadn't come there on purpose. But she wouldn't be quiet. Shuang told her to stop flailing around, reiterating that he had already told her and would explain. Her intimate area could be seen. Shuang whispered furiously that if she kept causing trouble, he would censor her again and again, implying that if she knew what was good for her, she would listen now. The lady finally fell silent. Shuang sighed, relieved, and told her to listen carefully, explaining that he was not a pervert and recounted the entire situation. The scene then shifted to a week prior, where Ruah asked her sister where she was going, noting it was outside. Her sister replied that she was going to find Shuang, as there had been no news of him for 3 days. Ruah's sister warned her that she wouldn't find anyone if she went out recklessly like that and stated she would accompany her. They were now at Joy Base. Ruah's sister asked if she was implying that this Joy Base might know where Shuang was. Ruah explained that Shuang had never returned after receiving information. On the other end of the intercom was Fong Wu and others, helpers obviously invited from Joy Base. Ruah further reasoned that even if Joy didn't know where Shuang was, they could ask them for Fong Wu's contact information. Just then, the person at the counter, the commander, addressed the young lady, stating he had heard she was looking for Shuang but genuinely did not know where he was. The commander further added that if something had happened to Shuang, it would not do, as he was an important supplier for their base. He promised to have his subordinates take a team to accompany them to find Shuang and also provide them with Fong Wu's contact information. Xia thanked him profusely. They were walking out, and Xia asked Ruah what was wrong, noting she looked a bit off. Ruah replied that she couldn't say for sure, but something felt wrong. She observed that this captain felt different from when they had met before, and his magnetic field was fluctuating widely. He was also looking at them strangely. Ruah suggested they get Fong Wu's contact information and then leave. Just then, they found themselves locked up in jail. The lady exclaimed that they had been locked up for a week and that their captors only brought them food and said nothing else, demanding to know what they wanted from them. She shouted her frustrations. Just then, footsteps approached. It was a person who commented that Stone was still so hot-tempered, asking how many times he had told her they needed to stay calm and think when faced with situations. It was their boss. They expressed shock, wondering how it could be him. Shuang and Ruah leaped from the fortress wall. Ruah immediately urged them to run, indicating that the Senate had turned away. At that moment, the commander and a zombie-like man stood nearby. The zombie-like man questioned Captain Lee as to whether they were simply going to let the 2 girls escape. The commander responded that forcing them to stay would only arouse more suspicion. However, he emphasized his strong desire that nothing happened to Shuang, referring to him as an indispensable partner capable of providing a multitude of supplies instantly. With these supplies as backup, he noted, they would no longer be constrained by the Earth Alliance. He added that he had already ordered his men to discreetly follow them and to report any situation immediately. Inside the car, Ruah told her sister Xia to rest, acknowledging that Xia had been driving all night. They then stopped the car, and Ruah remarked on how delicious the instant noodles were, especially being from the outside world. She added that if it weren't for Shuang, she wouldn't have known about so many delicious things in the world. Ruah then directly asked Xia about her true feelings for Shuang, questioning if she liked him. Xia confessed her cluelessness, explaining that her focus had always been on protecting Ruah and surviving with her. With Shuang now in their lives, she no longer had to risk her life for food, and she felt immense gratitude. She elaborated that as long as he was with her, her tightly wound nerves had begun to unwind. However, with no news for so long, she feared he might already be in danger, or perhaps he had grown tired of them and left on his own. Regardless, she still yearned to see him one more time. Ruah then reminded her sister that she had previously said she would kill Shuang and questioned the sudden change in her attitude. Xia replied that Shuang was actually not a bad person. While eating a banana, she advised Ruo ought to be nicer to him when they found him. Ruo scoffed at the idea. Xia then stated that Shuang truly admired Ruo, often telling her that she was very cute. Ruo questioned if she was cute, to which Xia affirmed that she indeed thought Ruo was pretty cute. Just then, something went wrong with their vehicle. Xia asked what was happening and if it could be fixed. Ruo replied that the part was completely worn out and they were out of new ones. She realized she would need to check other cars on the roadside for the same model, noting that it was only 10 kilometers to Feng Wu's faction. She lamented that the car always failed them when it mattered most and suggested they simply get a new one. Ruo protested, declaring it was her favorite car. Xia inquired if this car had the necessary part, to which Ruo replied it was a different model. Xia then commented on the heat outside and suggested they just walk. Just then, Ruo produced a part, stating it was precisely made, and told Xia to take it. An auto then approached them. Xia exclaimed that someone was coming. It was the leader of Feng Wu's squad. He addressed the ladies, assuring them not to be afraid and stating that he did not rob women. He then asked where they were headed, and upon learning they were going to the faction to look for Feng Wu, he informed them that Feng Wu and his group were not home and that he was just about to pick them up. He invited them to get in, offering to take them to see him. They then sat in the back of the auto. Ruo expressed her concern to her sister, stating that getting into a stranger's car like this wasn't a good idea. Xia, however, countered by pointing out that he had a photo with Feng Wu's group and asked Ruo if she had seen these people inside before. Ruo confirmed she had seen them but added that it didn't guarantee he was a good person. Xia then confidently stated that it was fine, and if they discovered he was lying, they would kill him. The leader then commented that this idea worked, seemingly agreeing with Xia, and implied that she finally understood. The leader, along with the person he had brought with him, was crying. At the 17th faction, a guy shouted in frustration, demanding to know when that person was coming and lamenting that they had been waiting all day. He reported to the second in command that the person might arrive that afternoon or not at all. Another man then relayed that the commander had stated. The second in command, exasperated, questioned what kind of double answer he was being given, asking if it wasn't already afternoon. He further threatened that if the person continued to talk nonsense, he would dye his hair. Others urged him to remain calm, advising him not to rush a good deal. They emphasized that they had waited this long and one more day wouldn't hurt. The person who had been shouting then stated that he wouldn't say another word either. Just then, the leader stopped at a location and informed them that they were almost at the 17th faction. He instructed them to wait there for him, stating he would come find them after he picked up Feng Wu and the others. He then added that if he didn't return by tomorrow, they didn't need to wait any longer. Just then, a person came running to Shirkao, the boss. She entered the room and apologized for being late, explaining there was traffic on the way. The other man said there was no need to mind, as they were already very happy she could come. He then invited her to sit and chat, stating he would have his man prepare the food. The leader immediately dismissed the pleasantries. He stated that the other had captured his people and forced him to meet, and that he really didn't have much appetite to eat with him. He urged him to hurry up and speak, declaring he had limited patience for his nonsense. The man finally spoke bluntly, stating he knew the leader's organization would do anything for a price. From now on, he demanded the leader's word that there would be no support for Joy, no matter the cost, because the 17th faction had decided to take over Joy. From amidst the bushes, Xiao poked her head out, questioning their location and wondering if they shouldn't wait at the original spot. She expressed concern that Feng Wu and his group might not find them if they came out. Ruo responded that they still didn't know if the man truly knew Feng Wu and that it wasn't safe to wait there. She suggested they hide somewhere high so they could see them if they emerged. As they ran, a sniper took aim at them, but he was quickly knocked out by the commander's man. The commander's man then ordered them to stop, explaining that their current high ground was a sentry point for Faction 17 and that if they proceeded any further, he wouldn't be able to protect them. Ruo then stated that the person was from Joy and had been following them all along. Meanwhile, in the prison, the leader's team members questioned how he had ended up there and inquired about the people from Faction 17. The Feng asked the boss if he hadn't defected. The boss urged them to get out of there first, revealing that two girls were waiting for them outside the camp. As they emerged, they identified the approaching figures as Feng Wu and his team. Another man in the team commented that it wasn't a tractor but an electric tricycle. The Feng then wondered when the boss would replace the tractor. The leader explained that it was a memento left to him by his wife and that he wouldn't replace it. Just then, Xiao and Ruo jumped out from behind a tree. Feng Wu activated his walkie-talkie, but there was no response. Xiao expressed her fear that something had truly happened to Shuang. The Feng stated that shouldn't be the case given Shuang's current strength, as he could easily protect himself. Besides, he reminded them, before they were captured, Shuang had said he would come to find them. Just then, the leader announced that he and Feng would stay up and help them look for Shuang. He suggested they search the Zombie King's emergency area for clues, noting it was a 2 to 3 day trip to Faction 17. He then urged them to get going. 3 days later, they reached the spot, and the Fang observed that the zombie king's corpse was already rotting, concluding that Shuang must have killed it 10 days ago. He admitted that even seeing it in person, it was still hard to imagine Shuang taking down a level 3 zombie king alone, finding it unbelievable. Ruo then clarified, asking if he meant Shuang and expressed disbelief, stating that Shuang's strength was barely enough to defeat a level 3 zombie. The leader corrected her, explaining that Shuang was not at the same level as when she last saw him. The Fang added that Shuang's power had grown at a terrifying rate, like a monster. Speaking of which, the Fang remarked that they couldn't find any other traces of Shuang here and suggested they leave. Just then, Ruo requested to search for a bit. She possessed the ability to scan fingerprints and footprints. She spotted Shuang's handprint on a bloodstain where he had collapsed. Judging by the size of the collapse, she concluded that the 2 people who came there were likely 2 women or children. The shoe prints were very unique, and she observed drag marks, indicating Shuang had been dragged away by them. Ruo then understood, stating there was a 70% chance that Shuang was taken by the climbers 8 to 10 days ago. One of the team members commented that if it was the climbers, then Shuang would be safe, as people from the 8 organizations did not kill innocents. The Fang noted that there was still no response on the walkie-talkie. He admitted that all members of the climbers' aid were good people and wondered if Shuang was so captivated he couldn't leave. The commander's man then asked if they could take a break and eat something, stating he was really hungry, as they had been traveling for so long. They all agreed they should take a break and proceeded to make instant noodles. Xiao urged them to hold on a bit longer, with only 50 more seconds left. Ruo noted that it had already been 3 minutes. Just then, the Fang went to pee. The commander's man then approached him and inquired if he was there to pee as well. He complimented Captain Li, stating he really knew how to handle things and had even sent someone to protect Shuang's companion. He promised that for that alone, next time they needed their help, they would receive a 5% discount. Just then, the commander's man agreed, pretending to pee, and then twisted the Fang's neck. His ability was silence, which allowed him to make evolvers of the same level within his domain lose their abilities and mobility. The commander then ordered Wu Yang to protect the 2 girls and help them find Fang Wu's group safely, as he was a level 7 evolver. The leader was easily trapped because Fang Wu's ability countered his water retribution. The commander then stated that now that he possessed Fang Wu's power, the only one who could threaten him was that kid. He instructed Wu Yang to meet up with Fang Wu and find a chance to bring him back, emphasizing that Fang Wu's ability had immense potential and might be useful to them. The commander's man then brought Fang Wu to them. The zombie laughed. The commander's man carried Fang Wu on his shoulder, and the walkie-talkie dropped off, waving. Shuang was heard asking why no one was answering. The other lady replied that they might have switched radios or perhaps didn't have them with them. She then suggested they head back to the association first, as the leader was still waiting for them. This was the scene from the past, and now it became clear why no one was picking up the walkie-talkie. Back in the present, a lady questioned whether the other meant she had caught Mr. Shuang in the women's bath. The other confirmed it, adding that he had even bribed her with a precious item, telling her not to tell anyone. However, she declared she would never let this thing corrupt her will, even as she visibly. The lady then turned to the captain, expressing her disappointment, questioning if this was the kind of man he picked up and stating she had expected more from him. She insisted that someone who ignored the rules should not be allowed to stay and demanded his expulsion. Another lady quickly interjected, arguing that expulsion was too easy for him. Before that, she declared, she needed to teach him a lesson. She held a large pair of scissors in her hands, and Shuang was tied up. He protested, telling them not to be crazy and reiterating that it was just an accident. He explained that he had seen a woman in what he thought was the men's bathhouse before realizing he had gone to the wrong one. He then pointed to a person standing nearby, exclaiming that it was her, the one he had seen in the men's bathhouse. He pleaded with her to testify for him, asserting that this lady had gone into the men's bathhouse, and if he hadn't seen her undressing inside, he wouldn't have gone to the other side. Just then, the person he pointed to grabbed his pants and said, "Look there." She then declared, "Got it? I'm not a lady." Another lady then arrived and stated that it seemed to have been a misunderstanding. She confirmed that Shuang hadn't done it on purpose and instructed Tuani to untie Mr. Shuang. In the next room, she invited Mr. Shuang to come in, apologizing for the earlier incident and expressing hope that he didn't mind. She then mentioned that the level 3 zombie core had fallen beside the place where he had fainted. Shuang, in shock, exclaimed that he had carelessly stored it in his storage space and that losing it would have been a huge loss. She confirmed that the zombie core was very valuable and advised him to keep it safe. Shuang inwardly thought that she had not only saved him but also returned his zombie core, finding it surprising to encounter such a kind-hearted group in this world. She then invited him to chat and take a seat. They sat down. He stated that whatever help they needed, they just needed to let him know, assuring them that as long as he could do it, he would give it his all. She expressed her gratitude but cautioned that what she was asking was very dangerous. She requested to explain the situation first so he could decide if he would help them. She began by explaining that they had discovered this waterway shortly after founding the Climbers Association, and it had been crucial for them because they had found a hydroelectric power station nearby. They initially thought the hydroelectric station would provide enough power to overcome many challenges. However, when they entered the station, they discovered that the dam's intake was blocked by something unknown. She had to dive down to the intake to assess the situation. When she went down, she saw that what was blocking the intake was a pile of huge, water-swollen zombies. She emerged terrified by their presence. She then added that they had tried everything to get rid of those zombies, but nothing worked, and more than 10 people had already been sacrificed. Shuang remarked that he hadn't seen this type of zombie before and asked about their level. She replied that they were level 4 zombies and wouldn't move very fast in the water. Shuang admitted that since he hadn't seen them in person, he didn't know if he could handle them. He requested to be taken there first to have a look. They then proceeded to the dam. The lady simply pointed to the water. Shuang stated he would swim down and take a look. The lady, alarmed, asked if he was crazy and warned that he would die if he went down unprepared, emphasizing that they always went down in teams. Shuang, however, reassured her, stating it was fine and that he could escape if he was in real danger. He then dived into the water, descending deeper. He thought to himself that there were so many, and it was truly tough. He needed to get closer to see the zombies. When he got close, the system identified them as level 4 aquatic zombie giant corpses. It noted that they liked to gather and stay in one place and rarely migrated. Despite their massive size, they moved at a moderate pace and could launch water attacks from their hands or mouth to attack humans. Shuang thought that he could kill or divert 1 or 2 of them, but there were at least hundreds here. One of the aquatic zombies was about to engulf Shuang. He quickly pulled on the zombie's jaw, noting its incredibly strong bite force. He further thought that while this zombie appeared youthful, it moved without making a sound, with even the water flow remaining undisturbed. He silently challenged the water-loving radish, declaring that his grandpa Quench Wong wouldn't be easy to eat. He then released an electric shock, powered up his muscles, and broke several of the zombies' teeth. Just then, other zombies woke up, and Shuang realized he couldn't handle so many of them and decided it was better to slip away first. The lady waiting outside for Shuang wondered why he wasn't up yet and if he had been eaten. Just then, Shuang emerged, and she quickly dropped the ladder. She urged him to climb up quickly. Shuang commented that luckily these zombies couldn't swim and could only walk on the bottom. She reiterated that she had told him it was dangerous. Shuang then opened his clothes, revealing his weapon to the lady. It was a familiar scene. She grabbed her scissors and, accusing him of being a pervert, declared he always did this and she wouldn't believe him anymore. Shuang insisted it was a misunderstanding, explaining that his pants were too tight and had pulled his underwear down with them. Upon his return, the girl asked Shuang if he had seen the zombies at the bottom of the river. He confirmed he had seen them and reassured her, stating he had a way to handle them and only needed an underwater rifle. She expressed her relief and excitement. Just then, the vice captain interjected, telling Kate not to get too full of herself and questioning how one kid with a single rifle could handle hundreds of these giant corpse-like creatures. Shuang calmly stated that it was no problem, as he had encountered similar situations before. He recalled that when Yunnan and he were surrounded by zombies previously, he had only used 8 doom bullets to kill thousands of them, so 20 should be enough for these giant corpse-like creatures. The captain then informed them that they currently did not have underwater rifles and suggested depth charges. She mentioned that they had thought about using depth charges to bring up the zombies before, but it had little effect. Shuang inquired if this was the only underwater weapon they possessed. The captain confirmed it. Shuang then thought to himself about the system, and asked if they could attach doom bullets to depth charges. The system replied that no, only high-speed projectiles fired from regulated firearms could carry the properties of doom bullets. Shuang exclaimed in frustration, wondering what they should do now. He cursed himself for boasting that he could solve this and realized they needed to think of another way. Shuang then directly asked the captain if she could help him make something. The captain told him to just call her Yu Yu. She assured him that if there was anything he needed, he just had to say it, and she would do her best to help. Shuang then explained that he wanted her to help him make something like a drawing he would provide. She examined the drawing and stated that the structure was simple and their mechanic could make it by tonight. Now, with a crossbow in his hand, Shuang told everyone to wait for his good news. It was a crossbow capable of rapid-firing arrows underwater. He mused that regulated shots and high-speed projectiles fulfilled the system's requirements, feeling quite ingenious. He jumped into the water and instructed the system to use 20 rounds of doom bullets. The system beeped, confirming doom bullets were in place and that 1,000 kill points had been consumed. Shuang then fired 20 arrows towards the zombies. He thought that all 20 shots had hit and it would probably take 12 hours for the effect to take hold. He confidently declared that the redheads here were all going to die. Just then he saw the zombies gathering around him. He furiously emerged from the water, injured, and exclaimed, wondering what was going on and why the doom bullets hadn't taken forever to work as before. The system replied that the effect of doom bullets was unstable and the timing could not be controlled. Shuang came out, exclaiming, "Damn it," and declared that he would never use those scrappy bullets again. The ladies standing outside commented that he had just been bragging. She further added that one shouldn't judge people just by their size. One needed to see the real deal in action. The captain then questioned what size she was referring to. In another location, Ruo, Xiao, and other members were enjoying instant noodles. Xiao commented to Ruo that the noodles were for Fong. Ruo retorted, questioning why he took so long in the bathroom, noting that noodles get soggy if left too long. Xiao agreed, suggesting they split it, and they proceeded to eat. Just then, the captain walked in to find Fong, but he wasn't there. He pulled out the walkie-talkie and realized it was Fong's, thinking that Fong would never lose something like that. Ruo remarked that she hadn't heard any unusual sounds in the past few minutes, wondering if he had left it on his own. The captain considered that for Fong to disappear without a sound or signs of struggle, it must have been someone Fong knew who knocked him out instantly while he was off guard. He then noted that none of the 3 people present had left, as he had seen it with his own eyes, and the guard was still standing there. He pondered if it could have been the boss and the others, but wondered why they would leave without telling him. He expressed his concern that Fong's disappearance was too strange and that he must be in danger, urging them to hurry back and inform their companions. The captain, however, reminded them that he had promised to help them find Shuang. Xiao suggested they proceed, stating that if Shuang was with the climbers, it wouldn't be too dangerous. Just then, the commander's person reassured the captain, stating that Captain Li had ordered him to ensure their safety and that as long as he was there, nothing would happen. He advised extra caution, as the area was dense with zombies. On their way back, the commander's person questioned his comrade why he was still there and urged him not to waste time taking him back to the base. The man then remarked on how much the captain had changed since meeting Jun Mei, noting his personality had drastically altered. He also pointed out that it was after Jun Mei appeared that their leader had suddenly gone crazy. He expressed concern that if this continued, the captain might become the next Junatic. The other person dismissed these as baseless speculations, stating that the captain's dream was to unite humanity and build an order that was safe, equal, and zombie-proof, and this was just one step towards that. He warned him not to cause any trouble. The first man countered that if the other didn't believe him, he would find evidence. He emphasized that the captain had raised them from childhood and was like a father to them, and he wouldn't let Jun ruin him. Just then, Xiao approached and asked who he was talking to. The commander's man replied that he was reporting to the base, and that they would reach the climbers' side by tomorrow morning. He showed her the walkie-talkie. He then remarked that it wasn't time for a shift change yet and asked why she wasn't sleeping. She replied that she couldn't sleep while others were on watch and offered to take over the watch so he could sleep. Meanwhile, in the climber's base, Shuang was receiving treatment for his injured backside. He complained about the ointment, asking what kind of ointment it was and why it hurt so much. The captain explained that it was a very good healing ointment that would sting a bit at first. Just then, another woman commented that Mr. Shuang had worked very hard, and although it hadn't worked, they still appreciated his effort. Shuang stated that he had another way and simply didn't believe he couldn't handle those giant red ones. The vice captain asked if he wanted to blow up his backside again. Shuang insisted he was serious and would definitely fix the hydroelectric station, urging them to just wait and see. He then looked at the zombie core of the Zombie King and thought that he had originally wanted to save the Zombie King core for a critical moment since it was so precious, but now he couldn't care about that anymore. For the dignity of being a man, he decided he must deal with those zombies. However, he decided to confirm something first and asked the system if the Zombie King core had any other uses besides charging skill points, like making goods or something. The system informed him that the zombie core could be used to charge skill points in the system, and in the apocalypse, people refined it into advanced evolution drugs. He thought there wasn't much difference then and no need to keep it. He instructed the system to power up with the zombie core, and the system absorbed the core. The system confirmed the level 3 zombie core power-up, stating that skill points had increased by 1,000 points, with current skill points at 10,050. Shuang thought that if he used all these 10,000 skill points for upgrades, he would instantly evolve to level 7, and the thought alone felt great. He decided there was no time to waste and instructed the system to upgrade 10 times. His evolution failed several times. He then demanded 30 more upgrades. His upgrade was failing again and again. He then shouted, asking for 50 upgrades, stating he didn't believe it. The upgrade began. Shuang hoped it had worked, but it failed. He then exclaimed, "Damn it," and that it had failed again. He lamented that there was no way and no skill points left. If he upgraded again this time, he would truly lose everything. On the other hand, the lady informed her boss that there were people claiming to be Shuang's friends and that they had been looking for Shuang for quite some time. The first lady inquired if that was so and instructed them to let them in. She then greeted them, stating she heard they were friends of Shuang, and asked if they belonged to any faction. They replied that they were free agents, not tied to any faction, and demanded to know where Shuang was, urging him to come out as they had an urgent matter. The lady, sensing the urgency, stated she wouldn't ask further questions and would have someone take them to see Shuang. She directed her subordinate to lead them, who then told Xiao and Ruo to follow her. Ruo, frustrated, muttered that just as she thought, Shuang had completely forgotten about them after they had risked everything to find him. She questioned why they should follow someone like that. Xiao, however, decided that seeing Shuang was their priority before leaving. The lady confirmed Shuang was inside and told them to go in. Xiao opened the door, and Ruo remarked that it was open. Xiao, seemingly reconsidering, suggested they forget it and leave, as long as they knew he was okay. Just then, Shuang emerged from the room and, seeing them, exclaimed Xiao and Ruo, asking how they got there and if there wasn't enough food. He thought he had heard Xiao's voice earlier and was surprised it was really them. Ruo angrily told Shuang that he wouldn't believe what they had been through. Xiao quietly hushed her. Shuang asked what was wrong. Xiao replied that it was nothing as long as he was okay. They then went inside the room. They informed Shuang that the captain had been captured and asked if he knew who was responsible. Xiao admitted she wasn't sure, but Feng Wu was tracking them. Shuang expressed his dismay, stating he hadn't expected them to face so much danger just to find him and admitted it was all his fault for not contacting them earlier. He declared he was going to inform the leader immediately and put the water station repair on hold to help Feng Wu find Feng Wen first. Xiao remarked that she hadn't expected them to agree to let them go so easily. Shuang confirmed this, explaining that the leader was a good person and very approachable. Meanwhile, in a car, Feng Wen was tied up and being transported along the highway. Feng Wen dislocated his thumb, attempting to escape from his restraints. On the other hand, the leader, listening to his walkie-talkie, heard Feng Wen's activated transmitter. He realized this wasn't the transmitter they hid under the skin, which was only pressed when in danger. He identified the location as Joy Base. At the fortress wall, the commander's man informed him that Captain Feng had been brought back. The commander, coughing, then instructed his subordinate to quickly go get Jun Mei. His subordinate inquired about the captain's health, noting that, ever since Jun Mei transferred her energy to his body, his condition seemed to be worsening. The commander dismissed his concern, stating he was in good health. Jun Mei explained that it was just an internal rejection reaction and that he simply needed to take blocking medicine for a while. His subordinate expressed his distrust of Jun Mei, stating that the captain trusted her too much and that she always seemed to be after him, questioning why she would help them for no reason. The captain told him to stop talking, acknowledging his worry but insisting he had his reasons. He then reminded his subordinate of their shared ideal, to unite all humanity and build an absolutely safe fortress so people wouldn't have to worry about zombie attacks, where the weak and vulnerable would no longer be oppressed by evil powers and human civilization would continue to develop. He emphasized that this was their common wish. However, he also acknowledged that currently, human groups were divided into factions, and those in power wouldn't relinquish control over their own factions for personal gain. Therefore, he concluded, they could only take it by force, seizing control of all factions. Only then, he believed, could they gather all of humanity's strength, and only when all humans united could they build an absolutely safe fortress. These were the captain's words and his ideals. Another one of the captain's men stated that since Shuang appeared fine, his task was complete. Shuang recognized him from Joy Base and recalled Yunnan telling him about this individual protecting them. He then asked if he had been waiting outside the climber's base for him. The man confirmed it, explaining that their base had some issues with the climber's side, so he couldn't enter. Now that he had confirmed Shuang's safety, he could report back to his base. Shuang expressed his unexpected admiration for the leader's loyalty and instructed the man to tell him that next time they traded supplies, he would throw in 10 tons of rice for free. Just then, Shuang's walkie-talkie crackled, and he heard Feng Wu's voice. Shuang immediately said he was about to contact him and reassured him not to worry, stating he was safe. Captain Li responded, expressing his gladness that Shuang was okay and asking if anyone was with him, as he wanted to talk to Shuang alone. Shuang moved away from Xiao, Ruo, and the commander's man, then told the captain to go ahead. The captain then revealed that Feng Wen had been captured by the people from Joy. Shuang, shocked, asked if he was sure. The captain confirmed it, stating that the tracker on Feng Wen showed he was inside the Joy base. Shuang then asked where the captain was now. The captain replied that he was outside the Joy base and had already informed their organization. Once their people met up with him, they would go to rescue Feng Wen. Shuang whispered back, cautioning him not to act rashly, as Joy's defenses were still strong, and rushing in would only alert them. He explained that he had business dealings with the people there and suggested he go in first to figure out the situation, and then they could plan how to get Feng Wen out. The captain expressed his concern, stating he was afraid that if they delayed any longer, Feng Wen might be in danger. Shuang acknowledged his worry for Fong Wen but assured him that they wouldn't be in a hurry to kill him, otherwise, they wouldn't have bothered bringing him all the way back to their base. He estimated it would take him about 8 hours to get from his current location to Joy Base and requested 12 hours, explaining that 12 hours later, it would be early morning, making it easier to sneak in, and he would be inside to assist the captain. The captain agreed, stating he understood and would wait another 12 hours. In the car, Shuang commented that since they needed to express their gratitude, they should thank Captain Li in person. The captain's person agreed, stating that Captain Li had been waiting to see him lately too. Shuang then requested Brother Wu Young to take them to Joy Base. Just then, the captain was coughing, and his blood had even turned purple. He addressed Jun Mei, questioning why his situation wasn't improving as she had promised after taking the medicine for a while, and if he still felt the urgent need for a symbiotic relationship. Jun Mei laughed heavily, telling the captain he couldn't rush things and everything took time. She remarked that he had just received new energy, so it was impossible to be up to it so quickly. She then offered him new medicine she had made, assuring him it should help. The captain drank it. Jun Mei then asked how he felt and if he was any better. The captain replied that the medicine worked fine and his energy seemed to have calmed down right after drinking it. Jun Mei said that was good and instructed him to take this portion whenever he felt his energy was out of control. She then added that speaking of which, she needed to report this situation and wondered which queen would praise her. She took out a tablet, stating she was looking forward to it. A lady was on the other side of the camera. Jun Mei expressed her respect to the queen, stating she hadn't seen her in so many days yet she was still as beautiful as ever. The queen inquired about the progress of the experiment on Jun Mei's side. He replied that everything was going very smoothly and if nothing went wrong, they might create a perfect comeback machine this time. She responded that if the experiment succeeded, she would definitely reward him. He then requested a tight hug from her, a really tight one. She provocatively grabbed her breasts and said that of course, as long as he succeeded in the experiment, she could give him anything he wanted. However, she then added that she had heard similar words from many people. They always shared and repeatedly assured her they could do it until they had exhausted her last bit of patience. She then violently took down a man and stabbed her heels into his back. She further stated that they still hadn't produced anything that even slightly satisfied her and that he had truly disappointed her. Dr. John. The doctor pleaded with her, asking for another chance, asserting that the experiment was almost successful and it was true. Just then, as she inhaled the soul, the doctor became almost dead, like a zombie, devoid of flesh and muscles. The Witch Queen declared that at least he had been useful before dying and ordered her guards to take him away. She then summoned Wang, who appeared. She stated that since this experiment was successful, Wang was to head out to meet Jun Mei and bring back the test subject. Wang acknowledged the Witch Queen's command. The commander then met Shuang and greeted him, asking why he was there. Shuang replied, expressing his surprise that Captain Li cared so much about him, and stated he was there to thank him in person. The commander dismissed the formality, explaining it was his duty and that he wouldn't want to lose such a good supplier. Jun Mei then addressed Shuang, noting it had been a while and that he seemed to have grown stronger. Shuang questioned why Jun Mei was with the captain. The captain interjected, stating that Jun Mei was helping them research some medicines. Shuang acknowledged this and mentioned he had brought several boxes of wine, suggesting they stay and chat tonight. The commander then expressed his desire for Shuang to tell him how he had gotten so strong in such a short time. Jun Mei then commented on the wine, saying it was really good and tasted pleasant, but had a strong aftereffect, making one feel lightheaded after just 2 bottles. The captain agreed, stating he usually had a good tolerance, but after 3 bottles, he could barely stand. Shuang chuckled, admitting he hadn't expected the aftereffect to be so strong either and declared he couldn't take it anymore, suggesting they call it a night. He then moved towards Xiao and Ruo and urged them to help him a bit, whispering that Fong Wen was at the Joy Base right now. Xiao and Ruo reacted with surprise. Shuang explained that he couldn't find a chance to tell them earlier with Wu Yong around and that this information came from Fong Wen himself. He stressed that they must find out Fong Wen's whereabouts before 3 a.m. tonight, as Fong Wen was waiting for them outside the base now. He then instructed Xiao to follow Captain Li and Ruo to follow Wu Yong, believing Wu Yong must know something. He added that he would follow Jun Mei, as he had a feeling about him. He emphasized that they would split up and meet in his room before 3 a.m. and advised them to be very careful. Xiao was then observed following the captain. One of the guards was following Xiao. Xiao pressed a brick on the wall, and a secret passage opened. Shuang thought to himself that it was a secret door, just as he had expected. He had suspected the guard. Shuang went inside the secret door and saw Jun Mei engaged in some medicine research. Jun Mei commented that it was time to start doing some soaring medicine and get back to work. He stated that the experiment's success was near and the Witch Queen's embrace would be his. He further noted that the subject was already in the 2nd stage of adoption and when he reached the 3rd stage, this potion would allow his body to undergo a new mutation, gaining twice its current strength. He reflected that in the previous dozen attempts they had failed at this critical point, but with the energy of a level 7 evolver maintaining balance this time, it would surely succeed. Shuang thought to himself about the mutation and wondered who he was talking about. Just then he spotted Ye. He then realized with dismay that it was the disgraced leader, contemplating whether these were human experiments and if Fang Wen had also been captured for experiments. Just then, Ye opened his eyes. Shuang exclaimed inwardly, "Holy crap, still alive." He then whispered, asking what Ye had said. Ye whispered back, pleading to be saved from there. Ye was the leader whom they had captured earlier. Shuang pondered the notion of rescue, dismissing it as a joke, believing that if he were to be discovered, he would surely be killed. He silently reaffirmed his desire to live. Just then, Jun Mei's device rang. He picked up the walkie-talkie and inquired of Captain Li what was happening. The captain, in pain, urged him to hurry and bring more medicine, stating that the energy inside him was getting chaotic again. Xiao, observing the leader, wondered what on earth was going on and what that thing on his back was. She noted that he was mutating and questioned if it was still a human body. Jun Mei replied that he understood and was on his way. He then turned around, remarking that it looked like he was almost at the third stage, and with those words of impending success, he left his room. Shuang thought that his timing was perfect. He decided to use this opportunity to check if Fang Wen was around. He then saw some strange forms and wondered what they were, questioning if they were some kind of animal limbs. He then considered an embryo and wondered if it could be human, but quickly dismissed the thought, realizing it was impossible for a human to have wings. He then opened a chamber where Fang Wen was. He took him out and asked Fang Wen if he was okay, urging him to wake up. Shuang noted that there was still a pulse, so he was still alive. He decided to get him out first. He then saw Ye's chamber. He gently placed Fang Wen to the side and addressed the leader, stating that he had saved him because he couldn't bear to watch, and warned him not to be ungrateful and try to kill him. The leader saw him. Shuang then questioned what he was doing, pointing out that he couldn't even walk. He then carried both of them, lamenting why he was struggling with two naked men and wishing he was carrying cute girls instead. Outside the fortress, a soldier named Old Hay questioned someone's late presence at the city gate. Just then he was stabbed and knocked out. The attacker then instructed Old Hay to open the door for Faction 17. The Faction 17 members replied that he had worked hard. Meanwhile, the captain and his team were waiting. The lady noted that Fang's meetup time was almost there. The boss stated that there was no way they were hitting up Joy Base tonight. The captain acknowledged this, admitting they could only rely on Shuang now. Just then, they heard a sound. The captain, referring to Fang, said that the people from Camp 17 had started to move. On top of the watchtower, there were two snipers. The Kong aimed at them and shot one. Another member leaped onto the sniper tower and killed the other guard. They then passed the signal. The captain instructed everyone to stick to the plan and move out, as all the guards at the watchtowers had been taken out. Old Hay and Wu Young were walking together. Suddenly, Old Hay pulled out a gun and fired a bullet directly through Wu Young's head, killing him instantly. Old Hay then commanded the others, instructing them to come out, as the captain was in the building ahead, and urged them to follow him. He then led the people from Faction 17 with him. Just then Ruo woke up. Her wounds miraculously healed themselves, and the bullet that had struck her was expelled from her head. Ruo, astonished, thought to herself, "What on earth? Is this guy a monster?" She then wondered how those people had managed to get in, recognizing a few of them from Camp 17. Meanwhile, the captain was drinking a potion. Jun Mei inquired about his well-being, asking if he felt any better. The captain confirmed he felt much better. Jun Mei then stated that this was already the third round of treatment and once they got through this, they would have truly succeeded. He mentally noted that taking the third stage medicine hadn't caused any rejection, which was excellent. Just then, bullets were fired at them from outside. The Kong, Song, remarked to Captain Li, expressing his surprise that none of the shots had even grazed him, and complimented his dodging skills. The captain acknowledged him, saying, "Wait, you are the leader of Camp 17, Song." Song replied with a triumphant tone, "Oh ho, you even know my name, but you got one thing wrong. I'm not just the leader of Camp 17. From now on Song, will also take control of Joy Bay. Does anyone have any objections here?" In the midst of this, Shuang was carrying the old leader and Fang Wen's body. He complained about their weight, stating he couldn't run fast like this with them. Just then, he saw a body flying out of a building. It was the Kong, Song. Shuang exclaimed in surprise, realizing it was the captain, whose power had instantly become very high. The captain, sensing the immense energy, remarked that the person was actually a level 7 evolver. Shuang, perplexed, wondered why they were fighting all of a sudden and if he hadn't told Fang Wu to chill out. He questioned if the person was with Fang Wu, as he had never seen him before. He admitted he couldn't make sense of the situation but decided to use the chaos to make a swift escape. He moved towards the stairs, thinking they were almost there, and once they were through the gate, they could contact Fong Wu. Just then, a stick dropped in front of him. He looked at the stick. Jun Mei then appeared and stated that he had just seen someone acting suspiciously, concluding it was Shuang. He then addressed Shuang as Little Brother Shuang, suggesting this was why he had suddenly invited them for a drink and inquired about Kimming. He then instructed Shuang to put down the two people he was carrying, emphasizing that they were very important test subjects to him. Jun Mei was giving Shuang a super creepy smile. Jun Mei ran behind Shuang, who had turned to escape, and questioned his attempt to flee. He jabbed the stick toward Shuang, poking him. Shuang stumbled but managed to regain his balance and kept running. Jun Mei demanded he stop right there. Due to the stick touching his body, Shuang began to feel the effects of infection. He thought to himself how painful it was, as the corpse poison was spreading from where he had been hit. Just then, Jun Mei threw the stick at a wall, and a section of the wall began to fall. Jun Mei then declared that Shuang was not going to escape and demanded he return the person he was carrying, promising to let him go if he complied. Shuang then stated, "How, Jun Mei? I didn't want to fight with you. After all, we used to be comrades in battle. But if you insist on getting in my way," he carefully put down both bodies he was carrying and continued, "then I'll have to take care of you first." Jun Mei smirked, remarking that Shuang was quite the talker. He added that he had already envisioned the beautiful scene of dissecting Shuang, believing he would make an excellent test subject. Shuang then internally instructed his system to activate his water skill. Shuang was then able to perceive Jun Mei's ability, which was identified as toxin. Jun Mei commented on the perfect timing. He then expressed his curiosity to see how powerful Shuang could become in such a short time, asserting that even Fong Wu and his crew wouldn't stand a chance against him. He further boasted that a mere drop of his venom could take down a giant beast. He noted that after being struck by the corpse poison, Shuang's movements had already slowed down. Shuang conceded that this was true. They then ran towards each other. Jun Mei was ready to attack Shuang with his nails, which were coated in poison. Shuang dodged the attack and punched Jun Mei in his stomach. Shuang stated that he needed to wrap this up quickly and added that Jun Mei shouldn't die, confirming he hadn't used his full strength. Jun Mei lay there unconscious. Meanwhile, the Kong exclaimed, "Impossible! This isn't your ability. I thoroughly investigated. Your ability was supposed to be harmless. The ability to manipulate body fluids was supposed to belong to Ye." He then continued, "I get it now. No wonder. A person killed by his own people." He thought to himself, "I have no idea what method you used. The power within you must have been stolen from your leader, a level 7 powerhouse betrayed and killed by his own subordinates. How utterly foolish. Someone like you, I would never allow someone like you to stay by my side." Just then, the captain attacked the Kong. The leader dodged the attack and vanished. The captain was in shock. Just then, the leader appeared behind the captain and, pointing a gun towards his head, asked, "Are you looking for me?" The captain was in complete shock, bewildered by what had happened in an instant. The Kong fired 3 bullets straight through the captain's head. However, the captain had instantaneously transformed his head into water, rendering the bullets harmless. The Kong expressed his surprise, remarking that the captain could transform his body into water in an instant, making bullets useless. Just then, the captain used his swift movements to attack the Kong, but he vanished. The captain thought to himself that this guy wasn't just about speed, he couldn't even trace his movements. Song, the Kong, lamented that this was bad and it seemed he couldn't finish the captain off with ordinary methods. He was a level 6 evolver whose ability was spatial transfer, allowing him to teleport to any location within sight and within 500 meters. The captain was having trouble fighting with Song, as Song used his ability to move here and there, making it difficult to land a hit. The captain attacked him many times, but Song managed to dodge them all. Song then appeared just behind the captain and commented that his ability was truly formidable and definitely not part of the plan. He stated he needed to figure out how to handle the captain, but in the meantime, they could have some fun. He moved into the air. The captain attacked him again, and the struggle continued. The captain kept attacking, and Song kept dodging. The captain challenged him, asking how long he could keep dodging. Song replied that, as expected, high-level evolvers had great stamina, but creation was not going to happen. Just then, someone arrived and informed Song that they had taken care of everything on their side. Song recognized them as his second brother and third brother, and expressed his relief that they had finally made it. He told them to listen to him. In an instant, he appeared behind them, and an attack came towards the second and third brothers. Just then, Song reappeared behind the captain and shot 3 more bullets at his head, but his wounds healed again with the help of water. Song then told his third brother that now was the time. The third brother confirmed, "Here I come," and activated his powers, which were related to wind. The captain was then trapped inside a swirling tornado. Song exclaimed that it was great and instructed his third brother to use all his strength to whip up the winds and not let him escape. Shuang, on the other hand, heard the man creating the wind say he couldn't hold on much longer. This was Chen Feng, a level 4 evolver whose ability was to control wind and manipulate wind pressure within a 5-meter radius to create small and fast wind vortices. Song urged him not to let the captain escape by turning into liquid. He then declared that now was the time for the second brother to go and wrap him up tightly. Just then, Huang came forward and said, "Here I come." His ability was mutated steel body. He grabbed the captain in his arms. Song commended him, saying, "Great, hold on, I'll be back." He asked where he was going. Just then, the captain exclaimed, "Damn, I'm barely holding on." Song replied, "I am coming," and took out a giant weapon. He then announced, "Prepare to face my attack," and with a boom, the attack was fired. He then stated that today he would put on an electrifying performance for everyone, cooking up a living person.